Good evening, welcome to Poker Night Live. We're delighted that you've chosen to join us for 4 hours of top, no-limit Texas Hold'em TV entertainment. It's myself, Dr. Tom, and Mr. Mark Banin in the studio tonight, taking your poker questions. So why not get the ball rolling by emailing or texting the studio right now? You can text us on this number, 62211. We are live in the studio right now. Or you can email us at poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. If you've got something you feel so strongly about you want your voice heard, then you can do so by phoning us on this number and leaving your message, 0906 200 70 80. Please don't sing though, we've had quite enough of that for the time being.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely no singing allowed.
Mark, would you care to take us around the tables?
Sure, let's have a look at what we have today. Okay, the first one is a 25-cent, a 50-cent cash game. This one is a minimum buy-in of $5, maximum buy-in of $50. And as you can see, there's a full table on that one. The second one is a $2 sit and go. This one is a tournament table, and subsequently, as you can see, they've just started off, have they? There's a little bit gone on that one, so still a long way to go, though. Next one is a $10 sit and go. This one is in its second level, and this one's this is a single table tournament, and it's down to the last three standing. And the last one of the evening is a multi-table tournament. This one is one where it's a very special prize, Tom. And the special prize today is a buy-in to the WPT event in Reno.
Wait a minute, that's where I'm going.
I know. So you're going to be able to hold hands with the winner.
Well, that will be nice. If
yeah.
It's a lady.
I've heard you're sharing rooms as well.
No, I've got other plans for that room, Mark. I haven't told you about it yet, but keep your diary free. Yeah. Well, that's terrific. Wouldn't it be great if it was a heads-up between two Poker Night Live regulars?
Yeah, that would be fantastic. So one lucky viewer is going to get it.
Great. Well, we're going to go straight down now to that multi-table tourney and touch base, as they say, with our hopefuls.
Excellent.
So it's, as you said, Mark, a hell of a prize. Travel, accommodation in the Reno Hilton, and that $5,000 ticket to a World Poker Tour event. I don't know how much they'll win if they win it, but it's plenty of money. Plus, of course, if you win this leg of it, along with the money, then you win your ticket to the $25,000 buy-in at the Bellagio just a month or so down the line.
Yeah, it's a great event, and it's. I went to Reno last year and thoroughly enjoyed myself while I was there. And the great thing about it is it's a fairly small buy-in compared to some of the other WPT events. It's a $5,000 buy-in in comparison to the $10,000 or $25,000 buy-in, which means that we'll just see this hand develop first. A pair of aces against a pair of jacks. And probably Sofa is either trying to get a bet out or he's probably not sure where he is himself. Well, that makes it a little bit clearer now. He doesn't have to worry about his kicker. It's aces and tens with a king. So if he had kicker trouble anymore, as long as he's not holding ace-king, he's in the clear.
He had lots of worries with that board, didn't he?
Yeah, straightening board and flushing board. But at least his ace made that king on the end helped a little in some fashion. Also meant there was a possible straight now on there as well.
So only one prize. Makes it a hell of a disappointment if you get bubbled on this one.
Yeah, it's. I think there's only one prize, although there is, I believe, a little bit of prize money, but it's not a lot. It's just what the just an accumulation of the prize pool. So this is quite a nice tournament because they do quite a lot of these on that particular site, and it's nice to see if they can actually get a winner from it because. Well, of course, we know they will get a winner from it. It's whether it'll be nice to see if they can actually get an ultimate winner at the WPT, which will be fantastic. Bit of kudos for the site.
It would be fantastic if they get second place, is what you're saying, Mark.
Oh, to you mean?
Yes.
Oh, of course, it depends. It depends what's in it for me, Tom, doesn't it? Really?
Well, a bit of loyalty would be nice, you know. But, yeah, I'm sure second place will be fine for any of these players here.
Okay, just to give you some stats on this particular tournament. The tournament started off with, I believe, 107 players. It was actually $10 to enter, which is fantastic value in terms of the prize being offered, because the prize being offered is actually $7,600. So it means that it was a tremendous value tournament to enter. You're getting more than what equivalent of about 7 times,
Yeah,
something like that.
Absolutely phenomenal.
So huge, yeah, huge amount. In other words, the people sponsoring it are actually adding 7 times as much prize money into it. So a great event, and of course there is a buy-in to the main event at Reno, which is a $5,000 buy-in, and also you get your accommodation and flights and stuff like that. So it's certainly worth winning. Started off with 2,500 chips, so that's why you can see a few more chips in front of these guys. Still on level 1 though.
Do you know what? The one I played, I think we started off with 1,500, so the structure was worse. And I paid to enter it.
Now this is a very good structured tournament, yeah. This 2,500 chips, I believe the clock is either 20 or 25 minutes. So yeah, you've got plenty of play. There's no reason why anyone should go out too early here, and that's probably why, just looking at it, there's only been, so far, there's only been 2 terminations, so out of the 107. So that's probably why everyone realises lots of play, and no great rush, although by the same token you want to dip your oar in the water a little and see if you can accumulate some chips at the same time. Bit of a big raise here, doesn't want to call it, does he, Tommy?
Nope.
Decided to win the 30, which is unfortunate. With a big hand like ace-queen, you want to try and hope that you can sucker in an ace-9 or an ace-10 in there and hope your ace hits and perhaps get paid off.
Speculative call there, I would say. Look at that. It's ace-8 suited out of position. He's just not likely to be ahead, is he? Well, he is now. But of course he doesn't know it for sure, so he gives them a free card, possibly worrying about the health of his ace, but he's done it again. It looks like he's trapping with his ace. And ace sports with trip 10s is going to give him a bit of a shock if he decides to stick in a raise. Bit of a fortunate result for ace sports, given that one of the 10s is already out
case
there.
10 on the board. That 5 doesn't really affect things, does it really, Tom? Not unless someone's sitting there with 4-6 or something, but it's very unlikely, isn't it?
Now what? 970 in the pot.
That's about as good a board as it gets for a set, isn't it?
Wow, and the 10 pays. So Tommy Lyon damaged goods there. And he's limping there, and that may look like a small amount, but to be honest, putting in even a 25th of your stack with those cards in early position is not great money. Not bad. Middle pair. Up and down 3 straight. I was joking about the up and down 3 straight. That's not really a hand.
Isn't it?
No.
I've been playing it like it was.
Yeah, you play 7-8.
I always thought a 3 straight is good. Is good.
3 flush is a monster.
Not so sure about the 3 flush, but certainly I like the 3 straight. As long as there's no gap in the middle.
Yeah. 3 straight gut shots are the ones you want to avoid.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyone holding a king is going to win, but nope. But kings and 8s is going to take it instead. Okay, let's have a look over to one of our other tables, and a couple of the regulars here. We can see Jaffa Cake, who I believe is a guy. I won't say his name, but I believe is a guy who's done fairly well recently in the last couple of tournaments. In terms of live tournaments, done quite well in a WPT event, I think.
And coming back for more.
Coming back for more, he's trying to get another one, yeah. He's had a pretty good couple of months, yeah. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy, the guy I think it is. He's had a very good 2 months, in fact, and let's see how he does in this one. It'll be interesting to see whether he can put his name down onto WPT final. That would be very nice getting in there. So, King 10 betting out, top pair. Getting called with a King 5, who's now got an up and down straight draw. Now, why has he called here, Tom? He's got nothing to call before. Well, there's a possible flush on the board now, so let's slowed up that kiddie. 680 in this pot. Well, he's put out, he's making it look like he's hit that flush. But as far as I know, this guy doesn't fold, yeah. He doesn't believe in folding. That's something I mentioned to Tom a few moments ago. I think we can expect to see a bit more loose calling there from the kiddie. I think I've played with him once before.
Did you try and bluff him?
I did, yeah, a couple of times, and he just called me down with rubbish each time, and I had nothing, so he won the pot.
He did it once and thought, well, that's easy, I'll do it again.
Yeah, I did it a couple of times. It didn't work either time, and I just didn't bother trying anymore after that. But that does mean usually, when that does happen, when you do get someone like that, it does mean that they'll pay someone off at some point because he just doesn't believe them ever.
Yeah.
There has to be a point where you do believe your opponents. I thought that was I thought that was quite a good bet there just a moment ago. It did look like he could have been calling for a flush draw.
Hot marmalade.
Yeah. And that bet signified the flush, I suppose, but he wasn't buying it.
Oh, just a call with Jack 10 off. Come on, you passed up a chance to take the blinds. And he's dominated.
Yeah.
Oh, comes in.
Yeah, strong play there by Jaffa Cake. And he's hit that flop pretty nice, top pair. Not got a great kicker, but he's probably confident that he's ahead. And he puts a little bit out there to see if he is.
Oh, you're right, it doesn't fold.
No, he's picked up a straight draw now. Although a club won't help him, an 8 of clubs, or a king of clubs won't be very beneficial to him.
910 in the pot. Jaffa Cake got somewhat more than that. And he's got to decide here whether he's prepared to play this for all his chips or not. And now I think we'll go check, check.
Yeah. Would have been interesting to see.
Having said that, Mark, if the guy doesn't fold ever, you can put in a value bet there where normally best practice would be to check.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. And I think Jaffa Cake picked up on that. And that was an interesting bet because normally that wouldn't be a good bet, was it?
No.
That would be normally a bet that you'd only be losing with. But against this guy, I think that's the right option. I think that's the right thing. And he's picked up on that very, very quickly. But maybe he's played with him a little more. So he knows his style, perhaps.
Having said that, I don't think it was called. I didn't see.
It wasn't called, no.
It wasn't called.
No, he had nothing. He couldn't call. He had just Jack High. But I'm sure if he had a pair of jacks or a pair of tens, he probably would have called. So from that point of view, it was a very good bet.
Yeah. And that is the reason, I know we've said this before on Poker Night Live, but you should avoid those value bets with smallish hands in position on the river, is that there's quite a narrow window where players will pay you. And if they've got nothing, they will fold, and if they've got a big hand, they will raise you. And there's really quite a small window in which they'll pay you. Apparently wider in the case of some Dakidi kid, if we're to believe Mark's statements about his long-term play. But with most players, a fairly narrow window in which your value bet will get called.
Hoofi's on the table too. He's got 7, 8. And, just what happened there? It was zoomed around and everyone folded. Jaffa Cake with a Queen 8. Thinking about it, decides he's a bit far away from that button position.
I think we'd have to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he was doing something else there.
Yeah.
Not thinking about playing Queen 8 off.
This is quite an exciting tournament, isn't it, Tom? When you've got such a big prize on offer, it makes things very exciting, doesn't it?
Mm.
What would you like to do with this king-queen in early position, Tom?
King, queen suited, I'm going to raise it, Mark. Oh, it's been limped. Yeah, I still raise it. Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of raise do you like to put in with something like that? 80 or something like that?
Probably make it 80, yeah. I'd probably normally make it 60, but 80 for the extra 20 that the kiddie kids put in.
Well, we all know, see if we recognise any of these guys. I don't know how Jaffa Cake plays. I think he must be a fairly solid, tight, aggressive player, but I've never sort of seen his style. Anyone else you recognise on there, Tom?
No.
Moon River. I'm not sure if... I know the name. I'm not sure if it's someone I have played with, but if it is, I think he's also sort of a fairly aggressive player, but also a bit of a cooler. Doesn't like to put hands down generally. Not as bad as the other guy, I don't think, but we shall see. I'm not sure if it is him or not.
And I guess that's who Job wants to be up against. A cooler. But no, not with just a jack.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And on to the next hand we go. Well, not really much going on here, is there? If he's got the pair of fives. Let's see how he plays this. Is he going to limp and try and catch a big flop? Or is he... yeah, he is. He's going to see if his play will net him something here. Well, not really the best flop in the world. 3 over cards. And a bad straight draw. Of course, I say it's a bad straight draw, even if his straight comes by means of the 6, it means that there'll be a 1-card straight 10 out there, which obviously wouldn't be very favourable for a 5.
Look at this, Mark. The kiddie kid has checked, and I thought for a minute then he wasn't going to get a single caller there, but he's managed to get a single raiser rather. He's got one from Moon River.
Yeah, be interesting to see now whether this guy folds or not. I said he doesn't like to fold, but that's such a big bet. He might just well fold. To such a big bet. I think had he put in at 180 or 200, he might have gotten to call. But he's probably a little bit worried about the flushing possibilities. Thinks maybe that's what he's betting, and he's a believer. They made it too big there for him to call. Well, a raise there from Hot Marlin Bay with a 3-9. He's had just one limper.
It's madness, isn't it, Mark? He's got the kiddie kid. The kiddie kid doesn't fold. I mean, why are you sitting with that when you know you've got a non-folder in the blinds? It's just basic error, surely. Can you explain that one to me?
No, not at all. Not at all. Well, he's. I suppose he's. Well, he's got the button, so I suppose he's looking for a bet that he might do here to represent something. Is it? Yeah. Let's put in a bet of 130, which is about a third of... No, it's about half the pot, something like that. And the kiddie kids, and the only one that's going to really call him, I suppose, is Fished. Fished. Well, the kiddie kids call him with...
a straight.
An inside straight, yeah, inside straight draw, and it's come.
Oh, and I think Hot Marmalade's played it the worst of the two. He's got plenty of information on how his opponent plays, and he's chosen to ignore it.
Well, that's the thing, has he, though? He's had one bluff that didn't work out.
But kiddie kid's been almost every pot. Almost every pot.
That's true.
We logged on. Dear oh dear. And this time the kiddie kid is not overboiling it.
No. He's trying to get him to put in a bet out here, which he might well do. If there's no other way he can win it.
Yeah.
And of course he's going to get called or raised. Probably raised, I would have thought. He probably won't believe him for a flush. And he doesn't even try. So he thought, okay, so... Well, there you are. That was an action table, wasn't it?
Yeah, the kiddie kid there in almost every pot. You just got to have the goods, really, haven't you, if you're going to go into battle against a player
Absolutely,
like that. Time now for, you guessed it, what's in the hole? What is in the hole? Let's have a look. We're not going to tell you just yet, but we are going to give you the clues. What has LL Julio got in his hole cards?
Well, it's been raised by Albus in mid-position.
Big raise.
Yeah, 6 times the blind. Behind a limper as well.
Oh, look. I think maybe he made a flush.
Do you think so?
I think the clues that they give us there are the 3 spades there. Text hole. Text hole, that's an order. Text hole to us here on this number. It's coming up now. 62211. And what you think is in the hole and what hand has been made. There it is, hole. Text hole to 62211.
And don't forget to put your name in there as well.
And let's see if we've got any emails. If we haven't... Oh, we have. Lovely. Email here coming in from Johnny Gringo in North Carolina, USA. That's fantastic. If you really are from North Carolina and not from Slough. Good evening. There's been some discussion on Poker Night Live with regards to game selection and bankrolls. But what about seat selection? Can you please discuss how you decide on which seat to take at the table? Assume you know something about players at the table, i.e. how wild they are, how tight they play, etc. Would the type of game affect seat selection, i.e. ring games versus sit and goes? Keep up the good work, says Johnny Gringo. Thanks for that, Johnny. What are your thoughts on seat selection?
Oh, I think we disagree on this as far as I remember. I'm quite a traditionalist in as much that I like aggressive players on my right and I like tight players on my left. Very simply, for the simple reason that I don't want to go into pots and have the guy keep raising me on my left-hand side all the time. So I'll keep having to throw away, which means that I've got to now change my game into being a very super aggressive game myself, or alternatively, I've got to play a very tight game, one or the other. I can't sort of play in between, which is sometimes where I like to be. But you like doing the other. You seem to like it the other way around.
I do. I mean, for me, what counts is that I have the good players on my right and the bad players on my left. And if they're bad because they're very aggressive but don't know how to play, they just love raising it up, then I want that player on my left. Although the orthodoxy says you want any aggressive player on your right. And the reason is that if he's always going to raise, I get to see what everyone does in response to his raise before it comes round to me. So I consider myself to be in position with respect to that player. And that's my reason. There are many reasons to go one way or another.
That's interesting, I suppose. That's interesting. That'll work well if you've got the goods.
Yeah, sure. And I'm a sitter and a waiter, Mark, so I will have the goods. Yeah. Just bear that in mind next time I bet.
Yes, I remember. I remember our little confrontation last time.
Well, I had king, queen, and you had quad twos.
Yeah. That's right, yeah. I should have let you catch up a little bit. Never mind.
My cards. Have we got any more emails? We have. Quick one here from Rob, who says, "Hi Tom and Mark, hope you are both well. I'm a novice player with 3 months experience of 10-man sit and goes behind me. Fantastic. In an attempt to do things properly, I purchased Poker Tracker to record and analyse my play, and I have a total of 6,715 hands over 163 tournaments in the database. I appreciate that I still have some way to go before I have enough hands to be able to draw firm conclusions about my strengths and weaknesses, but could you give me some idea of the types of things I should be looking for, which will identify most easily the areas of my game that need amending, or perhaps a website that goes into this? The Poker Tracker guides I've seen on the web seem to be more aimed at the cash game player." That's interesting. I don't have tournament stats.
Yeah, no, nor do I. I use it. I do have it on there, and I've only just started using it, and I only really use it for cash games. I'm not sure, to be honest, how useful it would be in a sit and go, for the simple reason that the blinds, if you do make it quite far, they do start to get very heavy, which forces you to play hands perhaps you wouldn't play normally, or forces you to play or not play hands that you sometimes would play because the blinds are so high. So I don't know whether it does give you a true stat, because the really only good thing about it is the first 4, maybe 5 levels of play, and each time you go up a level, the cards are sort of being dictated to you. You know, you can't limp in with 10 jack suited anymore and stuff like that. You know, you've got to basically throw them away in early position, whereas in a cash game you can, you know, you can simply limp with them if you like in the sort of mid position, where you can't really do that in the late part of the sit and go. So I'm not sure how useful it will be in a sit and go, to be honest. I'm not sure how much you can what kind of information you can glean from that. Certainly more useful for cash games, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of noise in those data for the reasons that Mark says you're playing hands that you wouldn't normally play in a 9-handed game. One thing, however, that will be good and stable for you is positional stats with respect to the button when you're in early position, because those positions don't exist once you're down to 3 or 4 players. So, for example, if you're losing lots of money in very early position, let's say under the gun with 9 people at the table, then you're doing something wrong because you're in that situation always at the top of the tourney. So have a look at your position stats. That would be my tip, Rob. Thanks a lot for emails. Keep them coming, folks. We do enjoy responding to your emails and your texts. Let's now get back to our poker.
Yeah, that was quite an exciting table we were watching. And we're back to our first table, which is Danny Poker, Sofa Server, Ace Sports, Red Card Jack, WHF UFC, and McStunts. Oh, we've changed there. What happened there?
Zebediah gets out of there quite right too. Fortunate that he didn't have as his backup plan the possibility of a split pot with someone having a lower kicker than the jacks. No chance when Blommer had the ace-king. A little nick there. Oh, Zebediah comes in. It's not a great hand to defend with. 10 jack, but he has defended. And checks to find out where he is. Oh, I'm surprised he hasn't bet there. He's checked the flop and now checked the turn. Now he's looking to find out if Cash has got the ace. There's the question. Do you have the ace, sir? And he finds out. The answer is no. And he played it quite nicely. He got 180 chips there by checking on the turn.
Well, we've been playing for about 30 minutes now, Tom, and I think there's around 94 players remaining, something in that area.
Just a flat call there from Jack King. And he's caught the Jack, which is rather more appetising than catching the King, because he's got the second best kicker. He's certainly going to have to play it for a bet. But how many bets is he interested in shoveling in?
Chip leader at the moment has just under 5,000 chips, and 95 players, in fact, remaining. So still a long way to go.
And Cash there didn't think twice before calling there.
No, but a lot of people do that, don't they, with 2 overcards. This is like the new way to play poker.
Is that the new way to play poker?
Apparently so.
Well, I would say it's the wrong way to play poker. What if your opponent's got Queen Jack or Ace Jack?
Yeah, well then you should be in trouble, but it doesn't always seem to work out that way. But Blommer has a nice hand now. He's got the straight. And he's worried about the 2 possible draws on there, 2 possible flush draws. Of course, he doesn't have to worry because neither of them have that flush draw. And Cash is calling, hoping to hit a 5.
In vain?
Straight. In vain, absolutely in vain, yeah. And maybe it's something to do with that seat. Seat 2 seems to be like a calling seat, doesn't it? But this seems like a common thing I'm sort of seeing, Tom. People calling with overcards and people calling for gut shots and stuff like that. That seems to be like a new way of playing.
I mean, calling for a gut shot, even though the odds are long, I can understand for the implied odds, because no one thinks you're going to draw to it.
Yeah.
But with the overcards, you might be well dominated and just walking into it with your mouth open. You're calling to be dominated.
Yeah, you're calling to get your pair so that someone can have 2 pair, absolutely. So that's not a good position to be in. Nevertheless, people do it. And I suppose that's one reason why Cash has got a few chips in front of him. But it does tend to mean when you are like that, that you tend to lose them at some point during the course of the evening, because you can't just keep calling that. You might get away with it once or twice, and that's how you accumulate chips when the ace or queen does appear and the person you're up against doesn't have the two pair. But generally speaking, it might help you at the beginning. It generally means that you'll get some chips early on, or you'll go out early on, or it means that you'll go out later on. You just can't keep doing that and last. You'll need to change. If you do happen to accumulate chips, you'll need to change strategy very quickly. Otherwise, it means it'll just go out the window unless you happen to have extortionate luck. So, nothing really much happening in this way of cards at the moment. 4-2 for Grigor, Jack 4 and 10-5. Nothing really doing there. Well, we were watching Hoofy. nearly slipped up there, Tom. We were watching Hoofy a moment ago. I don't know if we can find him again, if he's still in. Just take this hand in, because it could be an interesting one with pair of fours, pair of sixes and King Jack.
That's what Blommer was hoping wouldn't happen, but it has.
Wow, this will be first to bet here, won't it, Tom? Probably.
Yep.
Although, once again, it depends on whether Blommer's a believer or not. Some people, when they get their pocket pairs, they just don't want to believe. Well, that's worked out okay for him. Is it top straight? 9-10, Jack, Queen, King. Very nice indeed.
And Gringo's praying someone's got a jack to pay him off.
Absolutely, and Jack will make a lower straight. And Blommer might decide that his pair of fours are good here. He might decide, well, what could you make a bet like that with? Well, top straight will be the reason. Let's head over to Hoofy's table. We were watching him a moment ago. Was fairly content. How does Hoofy tend to play? Tom, you've watched him a lot.
Well, he's got a sit-and-go strategy that's the classic, Mark. In fact, it's sort of a heightened form of the classic, in as much as he really makes very few moves until he gets quite close to the five-player situation. Assuming, of course, that it gets there fairly fast and he's still got a few chips to play with. And then he starts moving, because he's picking up substantial blinds. This won't work in this game, of course. He's going to be in a very extended period of the situation sit and go where there's about 5 or 6 players, where the blinds are starting to get a bit big, and he's going to have to play that game right through until he wins it, if he does win it. But he knows how to play that side of the game, so I'm sure he'll be okay.
Okay, be interesting to see how well he does. Usually we see him on these sit and goes, and usually does pretty well. Let's see how he does here. Well, this is an interesting hand possibly developing here. We've got a aces against ace 9, who might look like he's making a button steal at this point. And Hot Marmalade doesn't believe him, and the kiddie, luckily for him, he didn't believe him, because he would have been, he would have had top pair, and he won't be letting go of that, will he, Tom?
No.
Well, this is interesting because, well, look, why is he just calling there? I suppose he believes that there's no harm out there for him.
Yeah, 8-9 is a pretty specific hand, and well, perhaps he's prepared to tolerate the possibility of a flush and thinks he can get away from it if it comes. He's got the redraw to the better flush if the flush does come.
Yeah, not anymore, he hasn't. Well, he'll call, and that's probably a worrying card for him. I wonder if he'll bet out. No, he decided not to, just in case that's what he was waiting for. River with his pair of fours. Big raise there. Doesn't look like he wants a caller. You can see why. And everyone just getting out of the way. Don't blame them, they didn't really have much of a hand and it was a big bet.
Wow.
So this is a big hand, isn't it? Here we're developing. We've got Ace Jack, Ace King. 9-5 I'm sure won't play. 8-8. 7-9 might start to play for the value if the kiddie doesn't raise.
Not for me, thanks.
No, it doesn't want to. Don't blame him. It's a little too much out of position.
Aye, aye, aye.
Well, look at that. Something for everyone, Tom. We could see a couple of people on their way out here.
Yep.
Moon River, I don't think likes a fold very often. Although he might fold if he gets raised and re-raised.
Or raised and cooled.
All right, if it gets raised and cooled, that's another reason for him to get out, isn't it?
You'd hope so. Oh, dear.
That's a horrible call.
Yuck.
Isn't that horrible? What could he be beating with the other guy calling?
That is
What could he be
mindless.
beating?
He didn't think, did he? He just decided he was going to play it.
Yeah. I mean, at least think about it, absolutely. At least think, maybe the guy could have been on a flush draw, I suppose. But what's the other guy calling with? They can't both be on flush. Well, they could, I suppose, but it's unlikely. They're both on flush draws. But that was really all about it. And, well, there you are, Tom. I was right. He doesn't like folding. So it's worked out in the kiddie's favour. Now, he's got a lot of chips now. He's probably our chip leader at this stage, 9,400. If not, he's very close to it. In fact, our chip leader at the moment is got 11,000, so he's not that far off. 2 pair for job 3. So, this is pretty much a very action-orientated table, isn't it? Lots of stuff going on here. Well, I think, see what happens with this. Is he going to play it? He is. Makes a bet of 90. The Hoofy might call with his 8-9 for a 60 more. Just getting 2-1, not great odds, and I don't blame him, he's out of position.
King Queen suited in the big blind. The kiddie is out of the pot. Don Piero going to have a pop with 6-7 off? Nope.
No. I would have liked to have made a move with that.
You would?
Yeah, at least call if not raise.
Just to mix it up, because I'll put you on 7-8 and think you've got 2 pair when you've got a straight.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, Jaffa-Cake's got the Ace-King. How's he going to play this? What would you like here? Raise, Tom?
Why not?
Yeah, that good raise? Big raise? Bit too big, perhaps? Or is it about right, do you think? 150, 5 times a big blind?
I think I'm probably, Mark, going to put in whatever I've been putting in for the last 10 or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to change my raise with Ace-King.
No. Well, everyone folds, scares everyone off. It's a shame. I always think with these kind of hands, especially Ace-King, you really want a caller in there. You want someone with an Ace-Jack, an Ace-10, an Ace-9, or some raggedy ace in there. So yeah, when you do hit your race, you get paid handsomely, as we just saw a moment ago. In fact, the guy with the Ace-King didn't get paid because the set of 8s got paid instead. But had that set of 8s not been there, the Ace-King would have taken all those chips.
And Ace-King does grow in importance as the tournament goes on because the blinds get bigger.
Yeah, not so good at the beginning part of the tournament though, are they?
No, it's susceptible. It enjoys, unfortunately, a certain amount of reverse implied odds where you get trapped with it when you catch a race sometimes. Yeah. But later on, if you've got 10 big blinds, it's a lovely hand to pick up.
Yeah. Well, we're getting them all here. We've got Ace-Queen, pair of jacks, and that's about it really. Well, we might see a call here with the Ace-6. Be interesting to see if that happens, what Job will do, because he's got the Ace-Queen. Well, he's just decided, this is a strange play, he's just decided to to call with his ace-queen. I suppose he's a bit worried about what hoof he's got. Hoof he's got a big hand, he's got an overpair to that board, plus an inside straight draw. And he bets out and no one can really call him with nothing. Drop 3 didn't really have a hand to call him with. No, a limp there. Hot marmalades. I think I might have preferred a raise in that situation, but probably just as well, in fact, because he's got those kings there and he's not going to let him get away for cheap. And just as well he didn't raise, he might have felt sort of partly committed.
Ooh, double through on the cards here for Piero.
Yeah, be interesting to see if now the Kitty. This is an interesting test to see if he folds.
Nah, I don't think so.
He's not going to fold, is he? No. No, there you go. Yeah. Only a 9 will do. Doesn't come. Or a jack. So double up for Don Piero. The Kitty takes a little bit of a hit there. Not much. He had over 9,000. He's lost about 1,400 of his stack there. About, no, in fact, a little bit less. Was a couple of limpers, about 1,200, 1,250, something like that. Jeff a cake with the ace-4. Will he be making a move with this? Probably will, won't he, Tom, with 3 left in the cut-off?
Those blinds are apt to fold, which is a good reason to bet at them. Hoofy and Don Piero.
Yeah.
Four, 6 suited, 75 in the pot. Decides to come in for a limp, assuming that he's the only one with small cards. How wrong he is.
Yeah, they're both at it. Well, he's got top pair there. I think a check raise would be wise here.
Yep.
Doesn't want to see any more cards, and he's got a little bit, and that's well played by Gonna Getcha. That was the right way to play. Worked out nicely for him. Got a little bit of extra money in there. About as all he was going to get, really. Well, we see that 4-6 again. I'm sure Jeff Cake won't be playing them from that position. Jack 9 suited. Decides to have a little look. 2 thinks, well, I'll have a little look too. Maybe I can catch my 2. Gonna get you probably decide a call as well, I think, for the 25. He's getting 7 to 1 on his money.
I'll let it go.
Yeah. You let it go?
Yeah.
7 to 1, no good for you?
Nope. No, not with a 49 to 1 to catch a hand I don't really want, which is 2 pair. Kings and 6 is not a hand I love.
That's a well-made point by Tom there. The odds of hitting 2 pair, for those of you unfamiliar, is 49 to 1, and that's really what Tom was referring to. The hand he really would like is 2 pair at least, and getting 7 to 1 from the pot, 49 to 1 to hit. If he can't make that hand, he's not interested. Well, we've got kings again. They've appeared a couple of times here. This time the Kiddy's got them.
He's not going to get paid, I don't think, Mark. Not unless someone catches a big flop.
No, well, what happens here, Tom? If it gets folded round to...
Hot marmalade.
Yeah, well, if he raises, well, he doesn't, he limps.
We've seen Kitty Kid slow play big hands before.
Well, look at it, he's just made a little minimum raise.
Oh dear.
Well, that's worked out okay, hasn't it?
2 outs for Kitty Kid. I think we're looking at a double through here.
Yeah, well, he's made a minimum raise, got called. Well, I think if he just goes all in here, he's probably going to call in for the rest. I think if he goes all in here, he's bound to get called, isn't he? Well, he doesn't. Just goes 1,000. Well, the Kitty does fold. Incredible.
It's because we've been talking about his
Strange play.
play. We're talking about his play, and he feels chastened by you, Mark. Describing him as a loose player.
This has happened about 2 hours ago, Tom.
He's got amazing powers of foresight. Okay, let's have a look at some emails. We've got one here from David. David, what have you got to say to us? He says, hi, I've just been watching the show and seen aces winning every time pre-flop. I was in an online tourney on second hand, pair of fives, pre-flop, I raised, everyone folded. Next hand, pair of aces, raised pre-flop, got re-raised, raised again, person in question went all in, so I called him, cards turned over, he had 5 deuce off suit. Something tells me a bad beat story is coming our way here. I thought to myself, what is this guy on? He flopped 5-2, then on the turn he got another deuce. This guy must have been Irish as his luck was unbelievable. He must have thought I was at it because I raised the previous hand and I won. Do you think I played it wrong? Getting himself all in with aces pre-flop, Mark? Getting called by 5 deuce?
I don't think you played it wrong at all somehow.
We think you played it brilliantly.
Yeah.
Oh well, never mind.
Way it goes.
That's the way it goes again and again.
Yeah. What's the odds on that one, Tom?
5 deuce?
Yeah, about 9 to 1.
Oh, around 9 to 1, I should think.
Yeah.
Maybe slightly better because you've got straightening possibilities, but around 9 to 1, I should think.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh well, Stamper in LA. We've got an influx of Americans. Welcome.
Yeah. Stamper actually emailed in the other day as well. So yeah, we've got a regular American audience. So welcome to our American friends across the pond.
And this is what Stamper says. He says, great show as always. Thank you very much. Hey guys, I just figured out why they call Hold'em the Cadillac of poker. That's right, I think it was Doyle Brunson called it the Cadillac of poker, wasn't it? He says it's because you can be riding along just fine when suddenly everything breaks down for no apparent reason. Oh dear.
I think that's probably the right reason, Tom. He's not probably far wrong, his Stamper.
Now we get sued
nice
by
email.
Cadillac. Thanks for that, Stamper. Andy doesn't say where he's from. Let's say he's from, I don't know, the Grand Canyon area.
Okay.
Lovely. He says, NB, not sure if this was read out last night, so if you remember it, don't read it out. No, I don't remember this, Andy, at all. Hi guys, great show as always. I'm a college student and I've been playing online as a hobby for about a year and have had some reasonable success by listening to your advice and reading Poker Theory. I mostly play 2-4 and 3-6 limit poker, and after 50,000 hands, my poker tracker stats show me that I earn 1.5 big blinds per 100 hands. I feel that I'm mastering the basic plays, but I really want to move up and play in games which require more advanced plays, because I think that is the best way to improve my game. However, being a student, I don't have the adequate bankroll to do so. Do you have any suggestions how I can improve my game without blowing away my tuition? What do you think, Mark? Is there any way?
I don't think there is. No, I don't think there is. Basically, poker's a game where you have to pay for experience, and experience is how you learn and how you improve your game. There really is no other way of improving. Unfortunately, there isn't, as far as I can say. I don't see how you can really get any better, apart from perhaps watching some more Poker Night Live.
Yeah, not the same as playing though, is it?
No, it's not quite the same, no. Sorry, there are no special tricks I can use on that one, I'm afraid.
Why don't you just devote, say, a third of your bankroll to an experiment? Just move you up a tiny amount, just move you up one level. And if it goes wrong, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't beat that game, but it does mean your bankroll has been diminished and you can't really afford to carry on. I know it's depressing to have the feeling that you expend all that money on an experiment, but hey, if you can beat the game and you don't get unlucky, then maybe you'll find that your bankroll just slides its way up the stakes until you're playing the big ones.
Of course, there is one other thing you could do. You could actually just decide to play at the next level. Perhaps if you're playing 4 hours a day or 3 hours a day, just decide to play at the next level for perhaps just 1 hour a day and see how that turns out.
Thanks for that, Mark. Let's give you a quick reminder of the numbers to get in touch with myself and Mark in the studio. Here they are, 62211 to text the studio, 62211. Nothing you sent in last night though, please. And there is the email address, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Any more? Yes, of course. If you want to hear your own dulcet tones on Poker Night Live, you're sick to death of ours, call 0906 200 7080 and we will read out your question and provide an appropriate answer. So it's all shaping up down on our special, not free roll, but competition for the Reno WPT event. So we're now going to go over to Rick Dacey from Poker Player Magazine. Do we have Rick Dacey on the line?
Yes, we do.
Hello. How are you doing, Rick?
Very well, thanks. And yourself?
All right, Mark Banin is in the studio here with me.
Good stuff.
You can address me as your His Royal Highness to you.
Yeah, no, don't worry about that, Rick.
I might hold fire on that for the moment.
You're poker editor for Poker Player magazine, is that right, Rick?
Yeah, that's right. News editor. So I get involved in all the, keeping up in the ins and outs of the poker world, whether that's
what are the breaking
domestically or abroad.
What are the breaking stories at the moment coming out in the next issue of Poker Player?
What we've got coming up now, it comes out, March 16th. And one of the more interesting stories is over at Camp Helmuth, which is a sort of $2,000 boot camp run by Big Phil and a few of his cronies. Antonio Esfandiari at the final night banquet sort of got up on the stage and issued, one of these kind of sort of famous poker player proposition bets, which was basically he plays Phil and the loser gets shot by the winner with a taser gun, which is basically just going to sort of electrocute you, send the nervous system into spasms, and is potentially fatal. So Phil is yet to accept, but we're keeping an eye on that one.
Fantastic.
Oh, it's better than betting for money, isn't it?
Yeah,
well, exactly.
How long is the boot camp for?
The boot camp is a sort of 2.5 day extravaganza, and it's got talks from Helmuth, Esfandiari on sort of basically a hyper-aggressive play, TJ Cloutier, and the kind of secret weapon, which is really fascinating, and you're not going to get for money anywhere else, is this guy called Joe Navarro, who was in the FBI for 25 years in their sort of behavioural analysis program, and he's basically a human lie detector. And he was the only seminar where you're getting professional poker players coming in and actually taking notes. Quite intimidating guy to have stare at you, because he's spent sort of quarter of a century working to sort of tell whether terrorists are lying, and so just to be sat at a table, he can basically tell you who's bluffing and who's not. But he doesn't play poker himself, which is probably a godsend.
So good reason to wear sunglasses when he's around, hey?
Well, that's what you think, but apparently he's saying the face is the least trustworthy part of the body, so he doesn't put much stock in the whole eye thing. So he says that your feet's the most honest part of the body, followed by the, I think it was the torso, no, the arms. So it's a lot more to do with looking for clusters of information rather than just where the eyes look into little.
Yeah.
People know that. If you want to project that, you've got to get in. You can sort of sit up, you can lean forward, you can look like you're ready for action. But if other things are sort of showing certain signs of weakness, then you should actually follow those instead.
That's fascinating.
Well,
so have you been on one of these boot camps, Rick?
Yeah, I went on this one to Vegas, which was my first. Hopefully not my last. But I don't know. It should have improved my poker, but I seem to be losing a lot more since I've come back. I think the Esfandiari sort of play really aggressive sort of took over, because it's a lot more fun playing that way.
Yeah, a lot more fun, a lot more dangerous though, and a lot more volatile.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. So how long have you been playing, Rick?
Me myself, seriously, really only since starting playing at the magazine. But when I say serious, I mean that means I play every day. Before, I used to just play sort of every month or every couple of weeks round at mates' houses at a home game. So, but playing pretty much every day for the last 8-9 months now.
And where is it distributed to, the magazine? It's distributed just in the UK, or is it all over Europe?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to plug it. But WH Smith's in the UK, and I think people across Europe can get online and A, see the mag there, and B, get the opportunity to subscribe, but only newsstand in the UK. We like
Poker Player because our own TV's Nick Wellthall is a regular contributor to your magazine.
Indeed he is.
And
we get him to do all the tricky stuff that we'd rather not do ourselves.
Oh, I see. Oh, well, I'll tell him that. He should ask for more money. We did have your rival publication Inside Edge on just 2 nights ago, so we are spreading ourselves around, as they say. We'll have to go for about an hour now, Rick, but we'll catch you very soon, OK?
OK, right, you are. Speak to you then.
Welcome back to Poker Night Live. Thanks for sticking around. Before we go back to our multi-table tourney, we're going to go and ask you, what's in the hole? Yes, here it comes. What is in the hole for El Coolio? Using only your powers of poker deduction and the information given to you and the funky riff, can you work out what El Coolio has decided is good enough to go all in with against a 6 times the big blind raise from a sound player? Albus Falk's not a maniac, so he needs to have the goods. Lowy runs for cover, but will his goods beat trip sixes? What's in the hole? Text hole to 62211. Text hole and your answer, I should say, to 62211. Just texting hole won't get you anything. But if you get it right, you could be our What's in the Hole leaderboard winner in just a matter of weeks. Now we're going to take ourselves straight down to that multi-table tourney whilst I wait for a sit-and-go table to become available to do a bit of sit-and-go madness.
Okay, excellent stuff. So we're back with Hoofy again. And he's more or less still hovering around that 2,500. Hasn't managed to increase his stack. And he's played a fairly conservative game. I haven't seen him play many hands. Doesn't seem to want to use that position very much. But well, Telepe might decide to put a feeler bet here, see if his hand is any good. Decides not to, which is a shame, really. I think I would have liked to have seen that. There might, with 2 aces on the board, there is a good possibility no one's got one, but we can see that there is. But he really needs to know where he's at, and unfortunately, we're not going to find out because either of these two players could have made this play with absolutely nothing. And now that he's got called, he must know that we just better hope that a 5 doesn't come, otherwise that will put him in real trouble.
Oh dear, I just did it.
Well, Tom tried to get into one of these tables, but unfortunately, they all sat down too quick.
Come on, boys. One of you leave. Ah, they've all put in their money. Oh well, I'll go hunting for another one.
One of them might get up, Tom. Sometimes they do still, even at this late stage.
QP's offering to pay $5.50.
Oh, there you go. You got one there. The top one.
Okay, Johan. I'm hovering. Oh, we've got Charwell on the left. Don't know if I fancy that. No, someone else has got in there.
Okay, well, this won't be a table that will be viewed, so if you're hoping there's going to be a TV table, it's only going to be on air if Dr. Tom is in it.
Yeah, Mark's put on his serious tone, so go to the back of class, all of you.
Has no one sat down? Is everyone still...
No, it started.
No, that's a different one, is it? Yeah.
Ah.
So, no one wants to give up their seat, huh? Oh, well. Okay.
Oh, back to the MTT.
Okay, let's carry on watching. What I'll suggest, guys, if you are looking to play on the TV table, please try and leave seat 4 available. If you leave seat 4 available and no one goes into that one, then you can have one of the presenters on there doing it. If we keep that one available during all sessions, that'll make it nice and easy. It also means you get some TV time.
Ace is again in seat 2.
Yeah, he's been pretty lucky with those. And he's not going to come up against anyone, I don't think, who can do anything. Poker decides to fold, doesn't want to call with his ace-9. Quite a wise move there. If you're going to play a hand like that, you want to have 2 chances of winning. Raising to get someone out of it, or having the best hand stand up. And this way he's only got one way of winning, and that's hoping that his ace-9 stands up. Of course, he's a mile behind. He would need running 9s. Some kind of straight with his 9. Well, blinds are 5,100. You can probably still wait a few more hands here if the blinds do come round. Whether he's on 507 or 350, probably is neither here nor there. But he decides to make a move of this. And no one can really call him. They've got nothing. So he's probably going to win this one. So that was exceptional timing there from Danny Poker. Had to get through quite a lot of players. 5 players he had to get through. And he was fortunate enough that no one had any kind of semblance of a hand. I think if one of them had an ace, then they might have decided to call, but it works out okay. So he's up to 657 now, which buys him another round in effect. Blinds are fairly slow to go up here, 20-minute clock I believe it is, so we're in a fairly good situation. There's around 70 players left. So still a long way to go. There's only one ticket available. This ticket is a prize to the WPT main event in Reno. It's a $5,000 event, a $7,600 package, which includes flights, accommodation, all that sort of stuff, I believe. So a pretty nice prize. And especially nice, Tom, the fact that it's only $10. That makes it an amazing prize.
Unbelievable value, yeah. I don't think I've ever seen so much value added to a tournament.
No, it's great. So it's great that these guys put on tournaments like this, and I know they do quite a few of them, so it's quite good for them. And good for us poker players to get these values. They're the kind of ones we always like to see, isn't it?
Normally, if this site had the requisite number of players to justify the prize, you'd have to fight through about 750, 760 players to win it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can imagine only having to fight through 107. This one starts off 107 players. Probably makes it the best tournament that you could probably play tonight, I think, and probably play this week in terms of value. So if you were lucky enough to play it, well done. If you're unlucky, you have to come back to the next one.
You'll hear people confusing, even people who know better, who are good poker players, you'll hear them confusing the idea of value sometimes in tourneys. They'll hear about a very big prize available for a small buy-in where there's lots of runners, and they'll say, oh, that's great value because you can win such a lot of money from such a small buy-in. But if no money's been added to the tourney, i.e. if to turn $10 into $7,000 you've got to beat 700 people, that isn't any better value than sitting down and playing for $70 with $10. So don't be confused when you hear them saying that. They're usually a shorthand for, well, you can win a lot from quite a small entry. But strictly speaking, value, when you're talking about tournaments, is when either there has been money added by the card room or the internet card room, or when the players are so bad that you can expect to win much more often than you should in a normal tournament where you're an average player.
Yeah, that's a good point. You do find a lot of these sort of small $10, $5 rebuy competitions. I find them good value for the reasons that Tom said, in as much that one, the calibre of poker player isn't, being a small buy-in tournament are going to be quite low, but also the fact that it's a rebuy tournament means that if you play correctly and you don't have lots of rebuys and everyone else is having rebuys, they're in effect adding to the prize pool for you, which is always very nice. Well, Danny Poker has decided to make a move with his ace-5. He needs to hit that ace, and it doesn't come, so we lose Danny Poker. Ace-5, not a lot you can do there really. You need to get lucky in these situations, and if you don't have it, you don't have it.
Now, folk on TV table orange, I'm planning on sitting down in seat 4. Don't slag off Clarkson, because that's the name I'm playing under, because I still can't get into my account. So I'm doing my old trick of playing with other people's money, which I think is the best value you can ever get in a competition.
Considering this, that's pretty good, Tom. It means you can just go on forever.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how many you lose.
Brilliant. That's right. Fantastic.
So if you are waiting to get in, please leave seat 4 vacant.
And in case you're not sure which way to count, it's currently occupied by the Magic Shep.
And Tom will slide into that seat, and you'll get some airtime around midnight.
Or earlier.
Well, we lose another player there. And was that Hoofy? I think it was, yeah. Hoofy just departed with his... he had the better hand, ace-queen pre-flop. Well, ace hit, but unfortunately, ace-9 for Viper means that he doubles up because there was 2 pairs. Unlucky Hoofy. Not a lot you could do in that situation, I don't think, really. Well, ace-10 against ace-king. Made a big raise there, and Superlife is wondering, shall I raise here or shall I just flat call? What's he want to do? He's got position, so he might decide to flat call. No. He decided to re-raise, put the guy under pressure. And it's a nice bet by Superlife. He decided I can afford it, even if he has got a big pair. As long as there's not aces or kings, I'm in good shape. Well, that's a great way of playing with your big chip stack and your ace-king. Nice play there by Superlife.
Yeah, a pair of fives. With one player behind him, he decides he's got to play it, and he doesn't want to play it for the implied odds. Depends what your opponent's like there. If he'll not raise you automatically if you just call, then that's an option.
So Viper with his 10-8 suited decides not to make a move to Lala. Is that Lala? He's limping with 5-9 suited. Wow. He's trying to be a bit deceiving here. And it's worked out okay for him, although he's going to get some action here from Superlife, who's got the flush draw. And Anton, who's got absolutely nothing, is the one making the bet. He figures that 4-5-6 couldn't have helped anyone. I'm in a small blind. It's likely to have hit me, so I'm going to be playing it. And Superlife recognises that and says, OK, well, in that case, I probably won't be able to throw you off it if you've hit that flop, so I'll just call and see if I can catch my flush. And in the meantime, Lala with a pair of fives. Now, he's got an inside straight draw to boot. Well, he likes that other five. Doesn't like the fact that it's a heart. So, if Superlife checks it, well, he's putting a little teaser bet there, trying to get Lala to raise, or hoping that someone will raise. And he's probably going to do it, I think. He probably thinks he wants some value out of this 5-9, but he's got to be worried about the one card straight. Obviously, a 7 will make a straight. And obviously the possible hearts on there, but he's now Superlife's got to be worried that perhaps he's got a bigger flush, so he's just going to call his bet, and he does, and he gets an extra bit of bunts out of that one. So that's a dangerous sort of flop there. Someone could have had a 7, someone could have had obviously 2 hearts, which they did. So, but Lala's decided that he wanted a bit more cash out of that hand. Unfortunately, sometimes your big hands get beaten by bigger hands, so you can't always cash out on them.
I'm in. Dr. Tom playing under Clarkson.
Did they leave the seat for you, or did you have
They
to battle?
did.
Yeah,
They
very
did.
nice. Well done, guys. Thank you for that. And probably a good idea to do that in future presenter nights too. If you keep seat 4 free, I'll try and get the other presenters to play that seat.
What I can't believe is that Tragic Trevor's still banging on about Ace Queen.
Ace Queen? What happened with Ace Queen?
I watched him play it terribly.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he was probably singing at the time, so if you spent a bit more time playing rather than singing, you might get somewhere.
I think his only problem was taking my advice, Mark.
Well, we've got up and down straight draw for Lee Doyle, and I'd like to see him bet this. It's a fairly innocuous flop, and he does. Well done, and he wins it there and then. Doesn't have to wait for his 2-to-1 shot to hit or his 4-to-1 shot to hit. In fact, it's a little bit more than that, but we'll round it down, make it easy. So nice play there by Lee. Realised that unless the guy's got a jack, he won't be able to call me anything. If he does, I still have outs because I've got the top part of that straight. So as long as he doesn't have a jack, an 8 or 9, a 10 or a 5 will make me the best hand. Good play. Well, Lee Doyle's got an interesting hand there. He's got the Queen 9. He might feel that 4-to-1 is worth it. He's in a big blind, I don't see anything, but he decided to call, and I think Superlife will now call as well. He's now getting 6-to-1, and when it gets around to Wilts, I'm sure he'll just want to close off the betting now. He thinks there's enough in this pot, what he should do, and he should be putting in the remainder of his chips. No more pussyfooting around. I'm sure he's just moving that slider bar all the way across. Well, he's trying to make it 1,000. And Lee Doyle probably put him all in with his flush draw, I think. Can't really hurt him enough. And, well, set of aces looks pretty good now for Wiltzer, which reduces the jack of diamonds and the ace of diamonds from that, from his flush draw. So he's actually drawing only to 7 outs, not the 9. Of course, ace of diamonds will make him for quads, and jack of diamonds will make him a full house. Well, it doesn't get either anyway. 5 of clubs doesn't change anything, so Wiltzer has got his extra bit of money there. Very nice indeed. Of course, hitting a flush in that situation with 2 cards to come is about 2 to 1. And a little over 4 to 1, around 4 to 1 to hit it with 1 card to come. So, okay, let's head over to a different table. I think it's time we had a look at Mad Marty, perhaps. And, oh, no, not Mad Marty. You have got the chip leader, though. Neil Satis, who's 16,700, is looking pretty good at the moment. That's a phenomenal lead he's got there. He's got 160 times a big blind, which is huge. To have 160 times a big blind at this stage of the tournament is absolutely massive. So he's in a very good position here. Now, the only problem is can he hold on to it? Let's have a look. And we can see that there's 53 players left in this tournament at this stage. One player will get the coveted seats to the World Poker Tour in Reno, which is being hosted towards the back end of this month. And where our good Dr. Tom will be as well. Battling it out. He might even be sitting at the same table as Dr. Tom. Well, B Digital was picked up a hand. He decided just a flat call here. Nilsitis tried to have a little nick with his 100 bet. And, well, he's hit his flush, and Nilsitis has hit his 2 pair, queens and jacks. You're probably hoping to put a stop bet there, but of course, if he put the guy on a flush draw, he's not going to be stopping at that. He's going to be raising him. So a pair of 9s there for Aces Honest. He's decided to raise it to 400.
I'm getting grief here for not talking in the chat box.
Why are you talking in the chat box, Tom?
I'm trying to work out what Nat Pans is betting with.
Oh, don't worry. Tom doesn't even talk to me, never mind talking in a chat box.
It's true, we don't talk much anymore, do we, Mark?
No.
Happens though, that, after a while.
Yeah, lover's tiff. So 6-7 in the big blind for Aces Honest. He's hoping to get a free one, although with Nilsitis, I doubt if that's going to happen. He's got Ace-Jack, and, well, he is. He's going to get a cheap one. Well, that's unusual from the chip leaders to be limping in with Ace-Jack. And, well, Gold Hill decided not to play the Ace-8 from the button without a raise. Very curious. That is extremely tight play from Gold Hill. So got nothing there for Aces Honest. All came a bit late, those flushing cards. And yeah, a bit of a tight play there from Gold here. We would have picked up another 500-600 on the top of his stack. That would have been very nice indeed. And you need to pick, you know, you've got a good hand on the button. It hasn't been raised. Surprising, really. Don't want to play ace-8. I'm not saying it's a great hand, but you want to do something with it. Have a look. As long as you bear in mind that the guy might have a better ace than you, then you never know. You could catch a 2-pair and outdo him. But it's definitely worth a button call at this stage for a very small investment. You could win some decent pocket money. Okay, I think we're just going to take one more hand and we'll go for an email. How's it going there, Tom?
I've had a sort of conditional proposition from Gan.
Conditional proposition?
Oh, he's not gay, so he doesn't fancy me.
Who isn't? Gan. Oh, okay.
So he says, we don't know.
Yeah, well, we don't know. We'll take your word for it, Gan. But we don't know, really.
And I'm waiting for a hand. So bear in mind, when I do bet, it's because I've got very few hands I'm prepared to play with.
All right, that might be a tell, Tom. You know, you're just giving away the... I'm waiting for a hand. Okay, great. Well, while Tom continues with that, we're going to take one or two emails. So let's have a look. The first one is from Stan, also known as Smoothcut. So hello there, Smoothcut. Hello, Stan. Hi, Tom and Mark. Pocket tens under the gun. Call or raise on a tight table?
Oh, hang on, I've got them. What do you reckon, Mark? Quick, tell me.
What's that?
I've got tens.
Have you?
Yeah.
Fold. Call or raise on a tight table. I've been having problems with it and not being consistent, becoming a nuisance hand to me now. Well, no one says that you have to play them. First of all, let me just say, no one says you have to play them. There's no hand in there which you have to play. Doesn't matter what it is. So that's the first thing to bear in mind. If you don't comfortable with a hand, don't play it. Okay, or play it very softly. But at the same token, playing it very softly can get you in trouble too. So you have to be careful. But I don't know whether you're referring to a cash game or a tournament, but what I'll say is this. You've obviously been playing pocket tens in a certain way and it hasn't worked for you. Just try the exact opposite. If you've been raising with it, don't raise with it anymore. Call with it. You know, there's no reason why you have to raise with it. You can just call with it, hope to see your 10, and you can play it as if it's a pair of fours or a pair of sixes, for argument's sake. So play it like a pair of sixes. If you hit your 10, great. If you don't, then you don't. Just one of those things. I appreciate that sometimes you'll have over pairs against you, so but treat it like a small pocket pair. You know, if you hit your set, then wonderful. Then you can go to war with it. If you don't hit your set, then you can throw it away. And be very nervous if it comes 3 lower cards on yours because they might have hit their set and you might just have the overpair. So always look out for the re-raise when you have got an overpair to the board. Someone might just be sitting there with a straight or might be sitting there with a set of their own. So all I can say is just try and be different and try whatever you do decide to do, just try and do it consistently for a period of time. Because what happens is, Tom, is sometimes one person will have a particular hand. Now try one different move with it. Say, oh, that didn't work, and then they'll just go back to their old way. So what I'll suggest is try it and keep trying it for a period of a couple of weeks and see how you get along when you do get it. Sorry, it could be more help than that. Hope that helps. And I think that's all we've got time for that. Let's head over to a cash game and see how these boys are going to be playing out. And there we are, 50-cent $1 cash game. Buy-in for this is $100, maximum that is. Or you can sit down with as little as $10. Well, snap it's on the flush draw. And Max making it expensive for him, but he hasn't put enough to put him off. He's given him huge odds. There's 29 in the pot. He's given him 6-1 to catch his hand. This is a bit of a problem hand now. Well, if that didn't turn into a problem because AK didn't bet and Snap It didn't call. Well, he just checked it at the end, even though he hit his top pair at the end. So there we go. Snap It, you can see a leaderboard here. Shot my lot, 119 there. And Mistro, 32. So quite a bit of diversion in this field. Boyce UK has joined the table. And a set of sixes for Nilo. He must like that. And he must like the fact that AK is betting into him. Now, how can he seduce a bit more out of him? And he abuses another 7. He flat calls with a top pair, and there we go. Well, don't like this play. This is another person we've seen who's limping under the gun with 5-9 suited. Is there something about this hand, Tom, that I don't know? 5-9 suited?
What's wrong with that? Have you been watching me play?
Oh, 5-9 suited, I don't think you play it for free, do you? I think you probably fold it even if it's been checked round to you. Well, we've got Jack 6 suited, although he's on a big blind this time. Top pair for T. Spence. Probably just wants to close off the betting here. He bets 4 into a 4 pot, and that's the right thing to do. He's got top pair, but it's not that great. Doesn't want to see any more cards. Just take what's in there. Well, a couple of disastrous hands here. 4-2 and 4-7. First to bet will win. There's 2 in the pot. Who's going to do it? Boyce has had to check. He can make a little play at this pot. He does. And, well, he's hoping, he's wondering what he's calling with. And he's actually calling for a gut shot. He missed it. Will he put out a bet? He doesn't. And Boyce will take this with a 7 high, which just plays. You can't believe he won it with 4-7. I'm sure he must be thinking, what the hell did you have? He's probably thinking, of course, the cards were marked, so he wouldn't have seen it until, unless he's watching TV. And, of course, he was there chasing this gut shot. 5-1 shot to hit it with 2 cards. Boyce must have thought he was in trouble there once he got it called. Well, top pair for Aussie. And he decided to let someone else have a little go at it, so that he can get a few more bucks out of it, and I'm sure we're going to see him stick his chips in, or a good portion. Well, he's only stuck in 2. Well, this has got interesting for Ak. He's now picked up a flush draw as well as his pair, and he's not throwing this away, and that's worked out very nice. He's got a house, and he gets paid. So in the end, he actually played it quite well, I suppose, but the cards felt nicely for him, so it meant that Ak had some interest in the hand, as well as Aussie just improving. So that's what you need in Hold'em, when it works out for you like that. Snap it to the ace-queen. I'm sure he'll be making a play here. He won't be calling from the small blind. He'll want to raise it up. He hasn't got position, so he wants to try and win it pre-flop if he can. Well, that's unfortunate for Snap It. He might make a little play at this. He does, and I don't blame him. That's a good bet. He's got called, and that's a horrible card for Snap It, because it now looks like he's well in the lead with his ace-queen. He could think that Ak's got a pocket pair, which he won't throw away. And Snap It is wondering whether his ace-queen might still be good, but that's a good fold by Snap It. He played it well, I thought. Done nothing wrong whatsoever. He lost a little bit, but if you keep doing that, Snap It, I think that's a winning play overall. That was very much situational. 8 times out of 10, 7 times out of 10, you'll take down that pot. Well, pair of 6s here for Snap It. And that's a good bet. I like that bet by Snap It. Re-raising, he figures, you know, if you've got a jack, then I'll soon find out. Only 1 over card to me. Chance of you hitting a jack is slim. In fact, the chance of you hitting that board is 2-1. So I guess if you're hitting that jack, it's going to be very slim indeed.
Stantis says, I hope Tom's not this tight in the bar afterwards.
He is. Let me tell you, he is. He is. Well, I bet I wouldn't believe that his 2 is going to be working for him so nicely. He's got a full house, jacks full of 2s. Not particularly wonderful, but enough to take this one down. Well, 6-2 folded. Mistro might decide to have a little look. No, he doesn't. He's worried about the limp from Ak there, although he's played a lot of pots, has Ak, so we've seen him limp for all sorts. Saw him limp in with 9-5 suited earlier. Well, nothing much here for anyone, although Nilo's just picked up a pair of fours and he probably thinks that's good. He's betting out with it. Would like to see a slightly bigger bet. Pot was 3. Well, doesn't make no difference really, 2 or 3. I think I would have liked to see a pot size bet 3. Doesn't want to see any more cards on that board. He must know he's probably winning, and there's a good chance he's winning now. Putting a little value bet in here would be the right thing to do. I think you'll soon know if he gets re-raised. But he could still get called by another pocket pair or the 8. Or maybe even ace high might decide to look him up. Well, snap it with the ace jack. Decides to put in 4 times the big blind, which is a big old bet there. Still got 5 players behind him, but he's raised it up. Really wants to win it pre-flop, doesn't want to see any involvement post-flop. He has got position on the field now, so that doesn't make much difference, but he's won it anyway. He's back over that 100 mark, dipped a little bit for a while. And if you're wondering what's happened to our multi-table tournament, don't worry, we'll be coming back to that a little later on in the evening. We'll also be featuring the Beat the Presenter tournament, which Tom is playing in. Well, we've got a pair of 3s here for Aussie, who's probably thinking that his pair of 3s is probably best now. That 7's paired and no one's bet the 9. That's a good strong possibility that his 3s are winning. So if we can see a little bet here from him, that'll probably work out quite nicely. And he bets 1. I don't know what that's meant to achieve. Well, it has the desired effect, but I think I would have liked to have seen a slightly bigger bet. Anyone, generally speaking, with any kind of draw would have called there, and he would have had the pot odds to call. Well, aces for Ak. Well, Ak's decided to play another hand, Queen 7 this time. And he's got position, so I suppose it's not too bad. He's got quite a passive table, so I think it's not too bad a thing to call in position sometimes when you've got these kind of tables where they are passive and no one's really playing anything. Because it does mean that you can use your position and steal a lot of pots because everyone is so passive. They won't play back at you unless they actually have the hand. So the fact that that is a case, most times though, it's not a wise move to do that because it does mean that, generally speaking, you'll get looked up. But, however, here that's not the case, so it's working out pretty good. In fact, I've been calling him Ak, he's actually Aki. Well, that's a nice flop for Aki with his 2 pair, and not so nice for Aussie, who's trying to chase his ace queen. Of course, it's too late for him, even if he does catch his ace or queen, because as we can already see, he's already beaten, and he can't win. So you would have needed a bit of a miracle there to overtake Aki in that situation. He was really hoping that the guy was just bluffing away. So, Mistro. Maestro. I'm going to spell out there, Maestro. Not the traditional way, of course, you'd spell Maestro, but that's probably what he's trying to tell us. Well, pair of 10s here for Aussie, and he decides that he's probably good. He needs another ace to appear or a 9 to get him out of this, and it doesn't appear, so Nilo's going to take this one down. And he's had enough. Well, Maestro now has the chip lead with 90 chips, $90 in front of him. Aki has 25. And that's, oops, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong stat there. In fact, we've got, this is the pre-flop folds. I thought it was a bit strange. It's Maestro who's got 90%, who's extremely tight, and only playing 10% of hands, which is extremely tight. Snap Hit, who's around the 30% mark, which is generally where I like to be. And Aki, who's right down the other end, who's playing 3 out of 4 hands. So not too many hands he can not play here. Another good opportunity for a re-raise here from Snap It, and he does so. Well done. Well, he's changed his game a lot, Snap It, since the early days. This is not a move he would normally do. Normally he would have thrown this whole hand away, I think. But certainly he's come across leaps and bounds, and that's a good play there by Snap It. Decided that 15 was the order of the day as opposed to the double. That board was looking particularly scary. He doesn't want him to call with some kind of bad draw. Well, pair of 4s here for Crazy. Decides to fold to the 1 bet. And Aki, who's got absolutely nothing, is going to take this one down. Just shows you, though, Aki's sitting there with 47. He's been playing most hands, but he's far from being chip leader. What's he going to do on this? No, he decides to not play the button. He's got a under-the-gun limper, wondering what that's all about. No one's hit any part of this. If it gets checked round to him, I'm sure we'll see Kravin put in a bet. Probably wants to make it 3. He makes it 2. And no one can call him. Oh, he's called him with... what's he called him with? Calling for an inside straight. Ooh, that was nasty. What a nasty bit of play there by Aki, calling for an inside straight draw with 2 diamonds on the board. And only 1 diamond in his hand, and not a very good one at that. Well, that was unfortunate from Kravin. Well, unfortunate for Kravin, really. But Aki doesn't want to get away from a hand. It seems to be something about that seat today. That seat 2, we've seen... who just love to call. Don't seem to like to put hands down. Well, this is the percentage of hands won. We can see Nilo, who's sitting pretty at the moment at the top of the tree, 60% of hands won, which is pretty high. Anything over 35% is pretty good. So T. Spence is good, Snap It, 42%, very nice. Aki, 50%. Now, that's not so good, in fact, because we said, well, you just said it's good if it's over 35. Yeah, but it's not so good when Aki's playing nearly every hand. So winning 50% of them is not that great. It's slightly better than average in this situation, because it still means that he's winning more than he's losing. But it's still not that wonderful winning 50% when you're playing practically every hand. Well, he's making a move with the king-queen there. Hits his top pair, so that's looking pretty good. Nilo needs a 10 or an ace to get out of this one. 10 will make him a straight, and ace would obviously just make him a better pair. Decides not to follow it through. Well, a suited ace for T. Spence. What's he going to do with this? Well, he decides that he's going to raise with it. Snap It with a 7-8. Sure, we'll be throwing this away, yeah. Yes, snap it. That's right. Even I would throw ace 7-8 in that situation. Don't want to play it for a raise, especially an early position raiser like that. If he was in a cut-off and he raised, then that might be a different story. But someone who raises from early, I'm not really going to call with 7-8. Sometimes I will. Depends if I've had a good run and I'm on form and I seem to be hitting things. Only because if someone raises from early position like that, it smells of a big hand. And a lot of people that have these big hands early on can't put them down. So I know if they do hit, then I've got huge implied odds. I'm probably going to get all the guys' chips. So how's it looking so far, Tom?
Oh, I got knocked out first. I'm just watching them play. Letting you do the commentating.
Well, that's nice, isn't it? So back to our commentary. We're watching a 50-cent $1 game, $100 maximum buy-in. This is a cash game, or a ring game as it's sometimes known. What you see in front of everyone are real dollars. Dollars seems to be the main currency of internet poker these days, so this is what you'll generally see on most of the sites. Well, 3, 4, 5, 6, not quite making the straight there for Nilo. Needed another card to make it. Pair of fives. Sneaking in, hoping to hit his set. Hasn't hit it. He's got 2 overcards to him. Really, he's probably wondering whether the guy's got a queen. That's all he's got to worry about. Well, he didn't do a snap it there. Snap it probably would have re-raised at that point, especially from a loose player like Aki. I think he's really only had 1 card for Kravin to worry about, and that was that queen. The 8 probably wouldn't have been bet by Aki, unlikely. Less likely, should I say. So, percentage of hands played. We've got Aki with 76. He's moved up a notch. He was on 75 a moment ago. And Maestro, who's, well, I've never seen tight anything like it. 94% of hands folded. Sorry, Maestro, if you want to succeed in this game, you're going to have to play more than 6% of hands. You just won't succeed playing 6% of hands. You need to catch miracle cards continuously, and as we know, that just won't happen. It might happen in one session, but it generally won't happen. You've got to loosen up a little bit. You've got to play, probably the least you can get away with is around 13, 14%, and then you have to play, you have to hope that you can play your hands well and aggressively. But playing 6% of hands is almost an impossible way to win at poker. Especially in a fairly passive table like this, when no one's giving, there's no real action, so you're not going to get paid very much on your premium hands. Well, Kravin's hit his 3, thinks it's good, and he's worked it out correctly. It is good. So Maestro, we know he's not going to play 9-10. Oh, he does. Curious. He plays 6% of hands, and he plays 9-10 in early position. Well, maybe he's just one of these guys that likes to play his connectors, doesn't like to play anything else. We shall see. Boyce UK with Ace-King suited decided to put him to the test. How much do you like your 9-10, he asks. Not very much, he says. T. Spence has been let off the hook here a little bit, as has Aki. Well, Aki won't be taking any notice of that raise. He'll just call, no doubt. T. Spence will fold. He does. He's out of position with Ace-Jack. And that's pretty nice of Boyce. He would have preferred seeing the ace up there. That would have got some action out of Aki. We know Aki's loose, but he's not that loose to call a 23 bet with no hit. So Boyce takes it down. He figured there was enough in the pot. I'm quite happy with my 30. I'll take that down, thank you very much. And indeed he does. Nice pick up from Boyce there. He's up to the dizzy heights of 115. Well, he's picked up bottom pair this time. It's been checked to him, so he might want to put a bet out there. No, he didn't. Surprising, actually. We know that Aki is a loose player. He could be playing with anything. And he actually wins it on the back of a flush draw. Wow. Took that one away from Boyce. I think probably crept into the equation that Boyce just won the previous hand in a nice little pot, so tends to make you a little more passive when that happens. Well, top 2 for Aki. He has got the goods this time. He's put a little silly bet in again. And I can't imagine Maestro will call here. He's got a backdoor flush draw, but it's... Well, he's decided to raise. He's decided that Aki hasn't got anything. His bet looked weak. And he was trying to buy the next card, and the next 2 cards, unfortunately, didn't quite work out that way. And I think it's Maestro can say goodbye now. Well, okay, well, it's been quite interesting stuff there from Aki and Co. He's been playing every single hand, so we should have a lot of action on that table. Got time for 1 or 2 emails before we go to our phone-in, and this one is from Crumble, and Crumble says, "Hi, Dr. Tom and Mark." Hi, Crumble. Earlier, Mark was wondering whether Poker Tracker was much use for analysing sit and goes. Well, I found it pretty helpful, simply because it keeps statistics separately by blind level, as well as by position, etc. That way, you get into the ring in the ring games. So if you play enough tourneys, you can start to see the leaks. The big downside for us P&L TV table players is that it doesn't actually capture...
Go on, say it.
Prima Poker's hand histories for tourneys. But then we have you to analyse our play, which is even better. Doesn't capture hand histories for tourneys. Oh, that's strange. Maybe that's a feature they'll add on at some later date, yeah. They keep adding on features all the time, so it's certainly worth keep watching their site to see for their updates. Well, thank you for letting us know, Crumble, and I'm glad that it's been useful. Got... one from Mark, and this is from Mark Cosgrove. Hi, Mark. And Mark is saying, "Hi guys, can you help? I'm playing tourneys for a long time, and in my play I sit as tight as I can, normally building my stack nicely, but in the later stages I always get knocked out 85% of the time. I go in with the best hand and always get outdrawn. Please help, it's getting very, very frustrating. Please, love the show. Say hi to Mike. Bumped into him a few times at EPTs." Haven't been to that many EPTs, but anyway.
Maybe it's your brother, Mark. Do you look like your brother? Because he's a poker player, isn't he?
Yeah, he plays. I look a little bit like him. I'm the better looking one, of course.
But he's a better player.
He's a better player, of course, yeah. That's right. Well, the thing I think you'll find, Mark, it's that's really evident of a tight player. What normally happens is that when you are a tight player, you tend to not lose in the early stages of the rounds, but of course what happens, you don't build enough chips, and you don't pose a scare to anyone with your short stack, and they take you on with anything, and of course they outdraw you with their ace-queen against ace-king or something like that. So that's typically what happens. But we'll perhaps discuss that after the break, Tom, because we just have to go to our phone-in.
That's right.
With Rick Dacey from Player Magazine. Let's see what he has to say.
Come in, Rick Dacey.
Hello, yeah, live and present.
Glad to see you're still there.
Yeah, welcome back, Rick.
What's in the next issue of Poker Player Magazine for our readers?
Typical mix of sort of strategy articles. We've got a really good interview with Daniel Negreanu, which we're quite happy with. and also look at, you know, that the typical complaint in new players is online poker safe. But, you know, that's all good and well. But one of the things we're quite interested in is we've had a legal letter from the publishers of Big Deal, which is a book by Anthony Holden, sort of seminal poker novel about him trying to turn pro for a year. Basically, because we've got a freelance writer also called Anthony Holden, but they're no relation at all. And I think it's Times Warner, could be wrong. Time Warner, yeah, are complaining and saying that we need to change his name. So in turn, we've replied saying, well, as it's on the poker field, then they should play heads up for it. So, but it's only just been published, so we're not sure if Anthony Holden B, the novelist, is yet to reply.
I think you should choose a name for the loser of the game in advance.
Any suggestions?
I don't know, Bugs Bunny or something.
Well,
Asparagus oatcake.
Yeah, or I don't know, something a bit more poke-related. He's famous for...
Osama bin Laden.
Okay, perfect. I'm sure that will go down the tree.
And then he'd be sending out legal letters.
Yeah, well, that's well, yeah. I think probably more than letters, but I think that's one to worry about at the time. But I mean, yourselves, esteemed poker presenters. I mean, what would you like to see in appearing in the magazine, except for more of yourselves?
What do you want to see in a poker magazine that we don't already know, Mark?
I think one of the things that I enjoy about one of your rivals, Card Player, in the States is the fact that they have a lot of writers who do a lot of famous writers and a lot of interviews with the famous faces, Eileen Negranus and the Phil Ivies and that sort of thing, and that's always quite entertaining to read. I don't know if you've got things like that planned.
I mean, we try and get one big cover feature a month. So, for instance, it was Negranu this month. Next month we've got Phil Lack, and other big names coming up. We've got like Mike Maxwell, Chris Ferguson, and they're all going to be pretty in depth. And we generally get a guy called Michael Kaplan in the States to write them. He's been a sort of poker writer for years, based in New York and Vegas, and he does pretty well out of us. But we're very happy with what he does. Good enthralling read.
And what does Negrano have to say, without spoiling the article, but what does he have to say in this forthcoming issue about poker?
Well, he has a bit chat at the likes of Helmuth. Not a massive surprise, you know. Sort of says a lot of these players, they're getting sold down the river by themselves about how how important they are. You know, their turnovers give money, but you know they're not politicians. They're not making a massive difference in the world, but so they should just kind of chill out, enjoy it while it lasts, which is kind of understandable.
A man with his feet on the ground, apparently.
Well, apparently so, but then again, this is also from a man who carries around a small dog in a bag, so you've got to be careful about what you think, full stop.
I hear the dog is riddled with tells.
I expect so. I was going to say you don't want that attached to your table at times.
You certainly don't, no.
It's quite a popular thing, isn't it? I remember when I went to Reno last year, Rick, there was a person walking around with a specially made doggy bag, and she was carrying around this little dog as well.
Oh, what was
so
that?
It seems like a new thing. A new.
I was going to say, was that sort of a Paris Hilton or like? I mean, I know that the sort of rich jet set sort of professional.
Well, this was someone that you probably know. This was actually, do you know Gillan?
Gillan, the name rings a bell. Never met him.
Ah, you'll never forget once you meet her.
So who's Gillan?
Well, she sort of she writes for. I think she's got her own website and she's got her own magazine, which is in the States. So I'm not sure what it's called or anything. And yeah, she gets around a bit. She always seems to be around.
We're going to have to leave it there for the moment, Rick. But stick around because we're going to grill you for 5 more minutes in a bit.
Okay.
So
okay, speak to you then.
We'll see you soon, Rick.
Bye.
Welcome back to Poker Night Live. I'm back from my sojourn down on the sit and goes to help Mark out. You're doing a sterling job there with the commentary, Mark.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tom.
Only occasionally peering over my shoulder and going, cutting at my decisions. But we'll see how it panned out very shortly. Were you halfway through an email?
Yeah, it was from Mark Cosgrove, I believe. He was asking, I'm just trying to think what he was asking. Let's come back to that in a moment, because I've just forgotten what he was asking there.
Well, is it still on it, or have we deleted it?
No, I think we've deleted it.
Oh, well,
so we'll have to come back to that one, I think. I'm sure I remember it shortly.
The slick production you're used to, folks. What about Scott? Have we covered Scott?
No, we haven't done Scott.
OK, Scott says, hey guys, Scott here. OK. I was wondering at what stage should you move up levels in cash and sit and goes? I'm having a great day today. In 6 $20 sit and goes, I finished first once and second 4 times. So I wondered how many big blinds in your whole bankroll you should have before you move up a level in cash games. Should he move up, Mark?
Well, if you want to, in terms of technicalities, really you should have 20 times the maximum buy-in of a sit and game. So whatever that is, if you feel you can cope with that, then that's fine. But by the same token, you know, if you want to move up, you know, people keep saying, well, when is the right time to move up from 1-2 to 2-4 or 2-4 to 3-6 or whatever it happens to be? There's no reason why you can't play a little bit of 2-4. You know, if you're on 1-2, and there's no reason why you can't play you know, a couple of hours worth of 2-4 a day, or just an hour, and dip your toe in the water, you know, as long as it's not a significant part of your bankroll, as long as your bankroll can withstand a 1-2 game, dipping in for an hour a day or 2 hours a day into a 2-4 game probably won't be the worst thing in the world, to dip your toe in and see how you fare, rather.
Well, I think that's an excellent idea. I mean, cast your mind back to when you started playing poker for real money at the start. You probably didn't think you were going to be asking questions like this. You thought, well, I'll give it a go, and if it turns out I can't win or it's a mugs game, I'll just let it go. And you entered that as a tourist, and now you can be a tourist at a higher level for a bit, and it will probably help you think about the game and take some of the pressure off you. You know, if you just arrive there and say, well, I am now a 5-10 player, then that's quite a lot of pressure if it goes wrong. So I think Mark's advice is very good.
Yeah. The one from Mark earlier, in fact, Mark Cosgrove, I do remember.
Remembered.
I have remembered. He was basically saying that always when he gets near to the back stages of a tournament, the back end of a tournament, 85% he gets knocked out.
Oh, yeah.
Because he starts off, he builds up nicely and slowly, and I think that's the key, isn't it? The fact that he doesn't take any risks earlier on is where the problem lies. It's not really how you play at the end, because you have been building slowly. The problem is what happens is you don't build your chip stack enough, so it means that you're always in the bottom half of that pile unless you get you know, some great cards in the middle of the game. And subsequently it means that you're always going to be struggling. And what happens is the big chip stacks are quite happy to take you on. You know, you've got ace jack and they've got king 10. You go all in, they call, and you know, they hit their king or something along those lines. So you know, they're quite happy to take you on. So unfortunately, you have to be in a situation where you're the person who can actually withstand that kind of raise and not the other way around. And you can only do that by taking a few chances, you know, earlier in the game. Maybe not right at the very beginning, but certainly, you know, within the first 2 or 3 levels. Yeah,
and do bear in mind that what's happening to you is in no way inconsistent with being a profit-making tournament player. You can still, as long as you get there and down to near the money and you've got some sort of stack, of course, exactly as Mark says, you're going to be the one who, if you get the wrong end of a bad beat, goes out. But by the same token, you can double through 3 or 4 times in a row. And when you get that rush, you may well go on and win it if you can play a decent final table. So there's no necessary reason why being shortish stacked towards the end, towards the bubble, means that you can't be a winning player. There are various ways of playing tournaments. Probably the single most effective is to take the chances earlier on, so you've got the big stack to bully people with. And that's what the great poker players have done historically. But not all of us are great poker players, and if it's a profit-making proposition for you to just make sure you've always got the best of it, and you're prepared to play maybe 20 or 30 tournaments in the course of a year, big live tournaments, then there's a very good chance you'll be a profit maker even with that kind of trajectory. So dinny fret about it, I'd say.
Yeah.
Now, what's in the hole? The answer, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. What does LL Julio have in his hole?
Don't think we want to know. There he is.
Oh, you see a flush.
He had his flush.
I thought it might be.
Yeah, oh, you're getting too good at this game.
Well, it's not that you could work that out from the bedding. It's just that, you know, the one in the hole always wins, and it always wins with something that the board offers it. Like, you know, not a high pair making set. It's got to be when there's 3 spades coming out, a flush.
Ah, so maybe we shouldn't make the whole win all the time.
I agree. I think that what's in the hole should be chosen completely randomly. Because otherwise, you know, you work out what's in the hole not from the betting, but from trying to second guess the producer.
And perhaps see some more rounds of betting rather than just an all-in pre-flop would be.
You're right.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
What a couple of curmudgeonly or cantankerous poker players we sound like. Oh well.
So, what are we going to? Are we going to the MTT
Let's
or are we
have a
going
quick
to
look at
your
the
tournament?
Let's just put off my tournament for a bit
Okay.
and go to and have a look at the MTT.
Okay.
So, here they are, battling out for that seat in Reno. And we're down to a stage now with just 7 players at this table. Blinds at 150, 300. So some short stacks there. Ace is honest. He's going to be kept honest now. He's only got about 5.5 big blinds. Difficult to make a move. Got a feeling this is not the one for him. And that's what Skinner wanted. An ace to clear up any holes in his hand. King would have been better, of course. He would have got Niels as chips. Some of them. And takes it down. We've got 28 players left at this stage. And the big stack is around about 16,000.
Well, very interesting. Because well, I watched Gold Hill folded round to him. He's on a button. There was one limper, actually. So like folded round. There was one limper in. Folded round to Gold Hill. He was on a button with ace-8. Threw it away, just for a limp. When he could easily, comfortably afford it. He had about 4,400. Blinds were 5,100. And he just folded.
It's not a hand that stirs my loins.
No, you fold as well on the button? I'm not saying you should raise with it, but at least take a peek.
I think if I'm looking for that call button, I think, hang on, I should raise this if I'm going to call it. And then if I think, well, I don't want to raise it, I end up then
just calling.
With the process of elimination, I find I fold it because I don't want to call it, and I just don't fancy a raise.
No, well, I don't fancy a raise with it in a tournament situation. I don't want to commit too many chips to it, but I think I've got position. Also, I've got bluffing rights. Potentially. So
yeah, you're right. Maybe it just doesn't excite me enough to play.
Yeah.
Maybe it's aesthetic.
But still, it's worked well for him so far because look at him. He's near the chip lead. He's got just under 14,000 chips, and he's obviously doing very well. So maybe avoiding playing that kind of hand is the right way to go in these multi-table tournaments.
Well, I think the sit and go I played earlier is ready to go, fully banked. So let's go and see what the cards reveal.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be coming back to that multi-table tournament a little later on, see how they progress.
And do bear in mind, it's not me playing, it's John Clark.
Okay. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, so you're in seat 4, Tom, under the name of Clarkson. And we've got a singer in the midst, Tragic Trev. Wonder what's in his hole. Well, there we are, Queen 6. And Gan 241. Don't recognise anyone else really, apart from those two.
24 Ginger, I recognise, but I can't remember anything about him, which is annoying because I'm sure I've commented on his game for months and months, and when it comes to actually play against him, I can't remember what he does. I seem to remember him as being more of a cash game player.
Well, that's not a good card for Sosu's, doesn't? Only because it has to be worried it's got that ace. And I don't like the fact that he or she has checked, because now Nap Hands can bet here with anything, and he does. And of course he wins it with nothing. So, you know, that's you've got to really find out where you're at, I think. We've got that jack, you've made a raise. There's only a couple of people in the pot. Got to see if someone's got that ace or not. And Nap Hands decided, well, if you're checking it, you probably haven't got it, so I shall bet away and see if I can steal it. And he did that. A nice play there by Nap Hands, making the most of that situation. And that's what poker's all about. It's about making most of the situations that present themselves to you. Sometimes the really, really Good players will create those situations, but that is a difficult thing to do. And more often than not, when you're an intermediate player trying to create situations, or a good player trying to create situations, it can get you usually in more trouble than just not doing that.
No, I'm a bit unhappy here, because I think I'm getting pushed around possibly by Gan, but he's very kind enough to show me his queens there.
Very kind enough. I don't think that's a good way of putting it.
Well, I found it was kind of him.
Yeah, but he's trying to win your money here. Or he's just not. Can't be kind and win your money.
Well, he's going to win my money anyway once I fold, but to show me the queens was very pleasant of him.
Yeah. Don't think you should be doing that, Gan. I have to be objective here. Sorry, Tom. Got to be objective. You shouldn't be showing your opponent what you've got. Unless, of course, you just want to show him that you're going to steal later on with rubbish. Maybe that's what he was up to. But
could be.
But I think you need to do that a bit nearer the time rather than now. That won't really hold much water when it does come down to stealing time. Well, first a bet here will win. Who's going to be brave enough? Probably Assidious, I guess, because Tragic Trev's got much of a hand either, and he can't feel too comfortable about putting out a bet on this kind of flop. Never know, he might do and get away with it, but I'd be more surprised. I'd be more surprised if Assidious is not the one to steal it. There you go. He's putting a little silly bet, and that's probably going to be enough to take it. Tragic Trev's got a three-way straight, which he's hoping to get. Well, he's got one of those cards. He needs a 9 now. Obviously, he would have preferred a 9 coming on that flop, or a king. Well, this is good betting by Assidious there. I like this second bet. I was a bit worried there. That 8 has helped him, and now he's thinking, well, what could Tragic Trev have? Could have a draw of some description. Well, that's strong play by Tragic Trev.
Nice play.
Yeah, re-raising with the gut shot.
Got a nasty feeling that he might have pushed me off a hand. Seeing that, but we'll see it in a minute.
Well, Tom, when your stats are 90% of pre-flop folds, you know, it's not that hard, is it?
Have you broken into my poker tracker?
Well, limping with the crafty play here from 24 Ginger with the ace-queen suited. Or maybe he just doesn't want to invest a lot of money into this pot. Enough hands with the 7-8 offsuit, decides to call. And probably see a call now from 24 Ginger, who probably won't want to build his pot up too much out of position. It's right squeezed in between the two of them. Well, 24 Ginger's got the lead. And Nepans is drawing very thin now. He only needs, only can win with a 7. But he's the one betting away. What's 24 Ginger going to do? I'm sure he's going to raise. He is. Look, Sissel is going to fold, I'm sure. No, re-raise. Wow. That is optimistic, to put it mildly.
Yep.
Now, 24 Ginger can't be too mad about his ace-queen being re-raised. And yet there is so much in the pot, he can't really fold, so what's he going to do? He's got to fold it in the initial re-raise, or he's got to stick it all in here. Well, will he fold to a re-raise now, is the question. He's put a little bit, that's probably about, well, this is, I think he's committed now. You know, if he was going to do that, then I suppose he's probably played it the best way. If he was going to put all his money in, he might as well get the guy to try and bluff at him. But is he? Well, he does fold. Incredible. Strong play there by, well, I say dangerous play there by Roxysal. And 24 Ginger is going to be looking at that, and he's going to be slapping himself on the back of the head, I think. How did I fold that? Well, What do you think, Tom?
Well, I don't know about no-see. I mean, having done that and pulled it off, it's a pretty impressive play. I don't know how he can know that 24 Ginger is going to let it go. I don't know how he can know that.
I agree with you on that, and I don't think that's why I don't think it's an impressive play, because I think 9 times out of 10 you're going to get called. You're going to get called, especially when a guy's putting so many chips into the pot.
But then maybe he knows something we don't. I mean, that's a possibility, but I mean, it's even if he did have a great plan and he thought he could see something we couldn't see, the margins are so tight there when the pot odds are so long for 24 Ginger.
Yeah.
It can't work all the time.
No, absolutely. I think that's a losing play overall, I've got to say. It won on this occasion, it was great, and it looks fantastic. But when you're playing $10 sit and goes, that's going to be a play you're going to lose with. Sorry, Nox, looked, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, but Noxicel. But looked great, and it worked, and they do. That's the thing with these kind of bluffs, isn't it, Tom? They look fantastic when they work, but you're scratching your head when they don't work, and you're walking off and thinking, what did I do that for? With my pair of 8s.
And also on the flop, when he chose to play it on the flop, he doesn't know what 24 Ginger is going to go on and do on the turn. If 24 Ginger goes all in on the turn, he's got no room to bluff. So he has to be pretty much psychic to know the way that 24 Ginger is going to play it for a small bet and then a fold.
Yeah, I mean, I actually quite liked, well, for the most part, I actually quite liked the way that, oh, look at here, so we've got...
Revenge of the Ace-Queen.
Yeah, it could be. Yes, it is. I actually quite like the way 24 Ginger played up to the point where he put 240 in, because the way I looked at it was that he thought, OK, look, I'm going to commit myself to this pot. If I'm going to commit myself, I might as well let the guy bluff at me.
Yep.
Because he's only going to call me with a better hand anyway. So I might as well try and get his chips in.
Yep.
You know, the only thing I'm going to stop if I go all in is a potential draw. If I'm really losing, I'm really losing. But I thought he did everything right up to that point, and then...
I think I'd have chosen a slightly smaller bet, because realistically, I mean, maybe Ginger knows about no Sisal, but I mean, if I'm trying to induce a bluff, I mean, I haven't left myself much room to be bluffed to it. So I'd have put in 120, which is enough to
or
make
maybe
a
even
draw
200, possibly.
A draw to be, yeah, 200 is fine, that sort of range.
Yeah.
So it's costing him to draw. Don't mind if he folds, but he might wrongly decide to try and bluff me off it.
Yeah.
But as it was, he did still try to push, presumably not for value. I think he must have been trying to bluff there, and it worked.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. He was just pushing to try and bluff. I'm sure he realised that he was losing in that situation. Well, these things look great, don't they? He's not going to push this guy off, is he? Though this is the same routine again. And if So's doesn't go all in here, he doesn't. This could work now. And if he goes all in again, it'd be interesting to see this one, won't it? If he does do the same thing. He does, yeah. He does try the same routine again. And I'm sure he won't be folding. No. Now, the right thing here is just to check and call. And hope, if he's bluffing, then you'll get extra 240 out of him. No, he didn't.
Right, this is where I make my first shot. I've been very quiet, very patient. Second level of blinds, I haven't played a hand. Ace-6, not my favourite stealing hand, or my favourite hand in any way, but I think Assidious is short stacked, he might let me take it.
And what do you know about Tragic Trev, the way he plays?
Well, I've seen him make good laydowns. That's the thing that's in the back of my mind. So I don't expect to go into a pot with him for great implied odds. And here he calls, and I catch my ace.
Oh.
I catch
oh
my
dear.
ace. Yeah.
It's not looking good, Tom.
But I've played so tight here, and I think Trevor's a decent player, and I just think he doesn't know I haven't got an ace. He doesn't know I haven't got an ace, and I don't think he can bet there without a decent hand. On a bad day, I'm up against a draw. If he's got a draw, he's going to bet there, but it looks like a good ace, and he's not going to be calling with ace-5. So although it pains me to do it, I'll let it go.
Muck. Wow, that's a great fold.
And only because I know about Trev. I mean, I know a bit about Trev, and he's a decent player. Terrible with ace-queen, but everything else is fine.
Yeah, and the great thing about it is you folded, your kicker was above the other two cards as well, which, you know, can give you another reason why you should call. Make that call a little bit easier. Plus, you had, obviously, backdoor straight opportunities too. Well, that was a fantastic fold there by Tom, I thought.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good fold indeed. And that's a fold which you might be pleased about later on. Might not be. Might be the hand that maybe he would have doubled up through had a 6 come or a straight come. But what we could see, it was a fantastic fold. So top marks there for Tom. A+, I think, is what we'll put him down with. Yes?
I'm just relieved to see that Tragic Trev didn't have nothing at all, to say the least. He tries another one later. I'll be interested to see whether that was a bluff, but we'll see.
Now, well, tell me, why do you
What
think...
a rock! Look at him at the bottom there, Clarkson.
Yeah, 94%, what a surprise. Tom, I'm curious, why do you think that Tragic Trev bet out there when you've got the lead in the betting? He thinks I've got
That's a good question, because I'm now seeing it from this point of view. I mean, at that point, I was just thinking about, well, what does he think I've got? He doesn't know I haven't got an ace, therefore he must have a hand. I didn't worry too much about, well, why would he bet with a higher ace? But that's something I should have thought about.
And now I think the opposite, you see. I actually think, perhaps I'm thinking on too high a level, I don't know, but I'm actually thinking, well, hold on a sec, I've got the lead in the betting, and he's coming out betting. Why, if he had a hand, why wouldn't he just let me bet? So I'm likely, in that situation, to overthink the problem, in effect, or overanalyze the problem, actually re-raise him, thinking that, hold on a sec, he can't make this move he can only make this move with nothing.
I mean, you're not wrong, Mark. You're not wrong. I mean, that is the funny thing about poker is that's a perfectly legitimate way to think about it. At the time, it just seemed to me that because I was looking reasonably strong, he had shown strength.
Yeah, interesting. It'd be interesting to hear your views on that, Tragic Trev, as to why you actually decided to bet out there. It might be that you thought, well, that Tom is that kind of sophisticated player who would think that way. Why am I betting out when you've got the lead on the betting? And he might come over the top with me. Maybe that could be the level he was thinking. I don't know. It'd be interesting to hear what your views are, Tragic, or whether you just wanted to stop Tom on a draw, perhaps, which is probably a lot of reasons why people do that kind of thing.
I think it's the first one, Mark. It's that Trev thinks I'm clever, but I'm not.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with you on that one.
Good. Well, I think we all agree then. Me, you, and Trev. Unlucky Trev.
So interesting play. Yeah, definitely want to hear about that one, Tragic. So let us know. So you haven't started off well, Tom, so far. You're down to 720. 1,000 chip start. You've lost a quarter of your stack, almost 30% of your stack, in fact. And Noxicell is involved in yet another pot. This time, Sosuz is playing that very sneakily. He's actually flat called with his aces. And that's a good play because the bet was quite big, so he can afford to do that, knowing that no one else is going to come in the pot, and knowing that there's going to be a big pot at the end of this. And following through on his betting, and he's decided, okay, there's enough in the pot, I'm going to take this one down. He hasn't left him any room to bluff, so he's just folded there. Well, good play there by Susuz.
And I'm getting a bit worried at this point because
the blinds are starting to creep up now, aren't they?
The blinds are starting to creep up. I'm creeping down. The best hand I've seen so far is the ace-6. I didn't get any respect when I tried to bet it, and I ended up folding. So that encourages people to come in against me. Yeah. So I'm a bit concerned about my situation.
Yeah, and so you should be, I think, because the blinds, when they do come round, they'll be knock you down to 600. And look at that set of kings. Going to take it. No cards in the deck there. It's going to help Noxicell, and it just shows you, Tom, doesn't it? He made that great play earlier, but of course, when you keep making these kind of plays, eventually you're going to get done, aren't you?
Yeah.
And that was inevitable. Well, hands 1, Clarkson's 1-0 at the moment, so...
Can you stop showing those stats, please, guys, next door?
Yeah, and Tragic Trev, well, he's won 100%, so he's not doing a lot wrong.
I think there should be one that says correct folds. We should have that as a table.
Yeah, good idea. But we won't.
No. Don't want to encourage tight play.
Tragic Trev, nap hands fold their hands. 24 Ginger. What are you thinking here with your 5-6? Anything? You're just praying, I suppose, that no one raises. I suppose in a way you probably don't mind if someone raises just to get you away from that hand.
Yeah, I'm indifferent about this hand. Let's see what happens. Gut shot.
Gut shot appears. Only one card to have to worry about. Once again, the Jack. It's unlikely someone's got sort of hovered around in there with an 8. But sure enough, Gan has it. He's not taking any chances. Doesn't want to see any more cards. There's flush draw possibilities, straight draw possibilities. And of course, there's overcard possibilities. So he just closes the betting off. So you haven't had many hands so far, Tom. You've had pretty bad hands, really. Like you said, the A6 was the best of the hands, and not a lot you can do so far, really. There's another gem of a hand, Jack 3. Thought about making a move with that, or that was never across your mind on a button folded around?
No, I mean, I think
nick
I
the
need a
blinds.
hand now that's going to be in some sort of shape at showdown, because I'm already thinking, well, this could easily be taken to a showdown. And anything I put in now for a steal with 600.
Yeah, especially against the 2 on your left who have got who are chipped up.
Yeah, I've got to look to commit myself to a showdown now.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's a good point there by Tom. Sometimes that might work. However, he's in a situation where the 2 players on his left have got a lot of chips and they can afford to gamble with him with a marginal type of hand if they so chose, without risking their tournament life. And if you can't put someone under that kind of pressure, then it can be difficult to get your bluffs through.
Well, here I've got ace nice. I don't like this hand much. I'm right at the margins here. If I had a few more chips, I could let it go. I'm frankly just lucky that no one is behind me
With anything,
with
yeah.
a decent hand. I mean, there's not, with 4 players behind me and 10 Jack, Queen, King as kickers, probably about 16-17% chance someone's got a better ace. So it's not a bad gamble there, but I am basically risking.
But you are risking,
8
yeah.
times the big blind. But I've got to move very soon.
Now, you're committed on that hand, aren't you? If someone
Yeah,
re-raises you,
I'm
you're
committed.
going in, aren't you?
And I've communicated that by putting half the chips in.
Right. Is there a reason you prefer that play as opposed to just pushing them in? Or is it a bit of deceptive play by doing that? By saying you sort of almost want a caller?
I don't know what I was thinking about there, Mark. I mean, I've committed. I don't really expect anyone to think I'm not committed. I suppose, it's just possible that if there was a raise and someone came over the top, then I would suddenly discover a reason to fold.
Right. Fair enough. So you would have perhaps folded to a double re-raise?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So what Tom's saying is that if someone else re-raised and someone else called, or something along those lines, then he would have folded. If someone else raised, then he probably would have stuck the rest of his chips in. There you go. Good technique. And that's the thing about poker, isn't it? You have to, and that's the thing that a lot of viewers can learn, is that you're thinking 2 or 3 plays ahead of what other players could do.
Here it is, ace 8, another naff ace. And blind's now 81.60, so this is a no-brainer. 240 up for grabs. Don't think this is in any way a controversial play. Stick it in.
Yeah, and Susu's wasn't going to risk much with that 5-6, but didn't want to gamble with you. Didn't want to try and take you out with a raggedy old hand. Got the good chips, doesn't want to lose them. Well, we've lost a couple of players, so we're down to 6 now. Blinds are creeping up fairly quickly. And they're 81.60 now, so there's 240 in every pot before we even start. And Tragic gets his pair of 6s through.
He's playing a nice game, Trev. He's finding the right price to push people around. What does he do here? He's just bet.
Well, he's just flat called there. Interesting that he's doing that with a Jack Queen. But probably wants to bet out here, I guess. Probably a pot size bet. No, he doesn't. He wants to see whether there's a... Now, Naphans might decide to get interested in his hand, and I dare say Tragic will think that that 2 hasn't helped him. And he's going to lose it by not betting, really, I think. I think that was a bit passive there. There were 2 cards he really had to worry about, a 6 or a 7. Didn't have to worry about the 3, I don't think. I think if Naphans had to have a 3 in his hand on the flop, I'm not convinced he would call with a pot-sized bet. He probably would call with a 6 or 7 in his hand, though. So a bit of passive play there by Tragic Trev on that hand. And we could see going a little war here, Tom, I think.
I think so, very possibly.
Yeah, all in and all call. Don't like the call, really, to be honest with you, but not a lot. There's no hand you're beating. Ace 2 you might be beating. Pre-flop, that is. You know, and a marginal favourite against 2 overcards. So I'm not mad over a call. Calling, you know, when you're desperate, then I can understand the call, but when you're not desperate, to call for a big part of your chips with a pair of 3s. You're just relying on your card to do the work for you, and you might be in a bad situation.
Oh, no. There it is. He did bluff me, the so-and-so. Now, I've made a decision here. I've made a decision. I'm not going to risk my tournament life on this situation. I don't know where I am. There could be a queen. There might not be.
It's not a bad flop for Tragic Trev. But is it going to be last to bet? Naphans, we've seen him pull this manoeuvre earlier, but he didn't do it this time. Well, that doesn't change anything. Your 4 is really pretty much dead unless another 4 appears.
Here it comes, Mark. 640 in the pot. He puts in 200. But as I say, I've decided I'm not going to play this pot, because if I just call that, I'm probably going to face another bet.
Well, I don't think he actually made a move on you. I actually thought he believed he was winning. He had everyone check round to him. He thought, OK, none of you got a queen, none of you got a 9. My pair of 6s must be winning, especially with that 4 appearing on the end. I actually think he wasn't trying to make a move at all. I thought he just probably thought he was generally winning. But of course, that's always
the situation I'm there in is that someone would indeed trap check a queen on the flop.
Against 4 players? I don't know.
I think, well, I would. Because I'm going to play it for my chips anyway. I'm not going to get frightened of my kicker.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about a draw with trips that high. So if they're going to trap check on the flop, I still don't know where I am on the turn when the turn card comes around. So I have to check it. And then when Trev bets me that 200, it's an irksome number.
Did you not fancy putting out a small bet? Even a 160 bet?
No, not because that completely stuffs my stack size.
Yeah. OK, that's fair enough. I can understand that. Tom decided they want to play that because it's a crucial part of his stack. 20%, 25% of his stack, practically.
So 1-1, Trev, 1-1.
20%, in fact. Yeah, I said I don't think he was actually trying to move on you. I
think you're right.
I think he actually thought that his hand was best, especially with that 4 appearing. No one betting the queen, no one betting the 9.
The thing is, Trev can make the 200 bet to find out where he is, but I can't. That's the asymmetry of the situation.
That's exactly what happened, I think. I think he did make that bet.
Look at this. I hate King 9. I think it's a terrible, terrible stealing hand. But the reason why I make this move here is that the blinds are up next hand, and I'm paying attention to that. And once those blinds go up, I'm going to be demolished by the big blind when it hits me there. So I must move on this hand, and I'm praying not to get a call, because King 9 is in terrible shape. It's called.
Well, not if it gets called by Tragic Trev, and he can't call you really with a pair of 3s. Well, he does. I don't like the call, I've got to say. You know, I said this a moment ago about pair of 3s. I don't like it.
I think that's beat the presenter call, because I don't think Trev will make that call against anyone else. It's to take me out.
Yeah.
And that's the trouble. We're a bit exposed on that front.
yeah, people are looking. But no, I don't like that, because at the end of the day, he's risking too many of his chips. He's risking a chip now where he's now going to be all in, practically, on the blinds, where he wasn't committed had he not made that call. And you're not beating a lot, you know, that's the problem. You're only beating someone with a 2-kicker, you know, any other hand and a 2-kicker, and that's it. You know, you're not beating 5-7, you're not beating 9-5. You know, you're a marginal favourite, but it's a flip of a coin. And do you want to risk your tournament life on a flip of a coin? Because whilst he hasn't risked his tournament life, he's pretty close to it now. And he might decide that this is the best time to make a move. Is he likely to get a better hand in Ace-9? I don't think he is. And that's 400 or so. She can't call either. That's 35. That's 30% of her stack. Decides not to. So Tragic Trev made a bit of a recovery. Unfortunately, he's about to probably do his stack, I guess. Ace King against Kings. At this level of tournament, blinds are high. No one's going to be doing anything too. There we go. And Natfan's got what he wanted. Now, can he pull out an ace out of the hat? That doesn't help things. And no, so we have Tragic Trev, the dearly departed, and it was all to do really with that calling with the pair of threes.
Yeah, he was a 50-50 in the event. He was a 50-50, but then of course I make the same move really with.
Yeah. Having said that,
higher pair.
Having said that, would he have lost all his chips just now anyway, regardless, with the Ace King again?
Very
Blinds are this
possibly,
high.
but that's not the point.
No, there's a good possibility he would have done the same, but yeah. So Suze is looking for that 6 to make the straight, and there it is. There you are, 7-8. Told you, Tom. Told you that 7-8. Don't knock it.
Yeah, I just saw Soz get pushed off 7-8 by a pair of 6s from Trev.
So Soz takes it with a 7-8. Nathan's at the A7, probably going to make a move. Got the chips to do it.
And I've got to let it go, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I can bet with a hand, I can't call with it.
No, and even if you go over the top, you're not re-raising in effect, you're just calling. So, yeah, good play there by Clarkson, and this is a bit more like the hand I'm sure he likes.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any interest about flat calling here to try and get some more benefit out of Ace Queen, or is it just a case of
none.
nick the blinds?
Oh, I'll have those blinds at that size, thank you very much.
Oh, it needs a diamond or an ace, and there's the ace. Or a queen, of course.
Very nice, thank you.
Yeah, well, well, you were leading pre-flop. That's when the money went in. I suppose you could say that's justice served.
So not bubbled this time?
No, not bubbled this time. Wasn't looking too good there for a moment, but at least you had that flush draw to keep you interested. And of course, with that flop, you actually favourite against the King 10. 2 overcards and the flush draw makes you a small favourite. About 55% or thereabouts. 54%, I think. Good enough.
Nasty for Ginge, because he loses any bluffing chances if he calls, but he is getting attractive pot odds.
Yeah, the problem is once again, he's asking himself, does he want to get committed to this hand? And he decides not to, and I actually prefer that play.
Yeah, me too. Me too. There it is again.
Well, I think we're going to donate some more chips to Clarkson here by the looks of it.
So this is a fortunate matchup. This hand plays itself. 24 Ginger is always going to move. I'm always going to call.
Yeah.
No
Absolutely.
skill involved.
No. It was that was always going to be inevitable. Just have to hope that king doesn't appear. And you've escaped a couple of these 65-35s, Tom.
I've been working on them.
Yeah, King 10 and now King Queen. In fact, that's a bit worse, isn't it? It's about 72% in that case. 72-28. You've got it again? That's unbelievable. Where'd you get these hands from?
Well, which hands did I get in the first 3 levels of the blinds?
I didn't see anything like that when I played. Ace Queen 3 times. I don't think I saw Ace Queen once.
So now we've got Soz, who's very low. And
Still light. I did have it once.
I am quite interested in seeing Soz go before I get too involved. And King Jack, I don't need to call this.
No, not with Soz sitting there. With 760, it's a simple fold. And that's a clever play there by Tom. Decided to see if Soz can get out of the way. And probably don't like doing it here, but what's it going to be to you? 320, 440. Going to still have over 4,000.
I've got 3 to 1, more or less.
Yeah.
I just flat call it, see if I have an opportunity to push him around, and it turns out that I have no opportunity to push him around because I bet here and he calls anyway, and I think he was right to call.
Yeah.
But in fact, I'm dominating him.
Yeah, what was the reason behind you doing that? Do you think he could fold for the 120?
I think he can fold for the 120. I think I should have waited until the turn or the river to make that move. But when those high cards came down on the flop, I just thought, oh well, here's a chance for me to say, you know, you're so far behind, you'll never get out of it. So I decided to bet then.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair enough.
So we're heads up now. 326 for there's 1,000 in the pot, in the offing each time.
And who's got a chip lead? About equal.
About equal. Ace 10's good enough for me to push.
You're in the lead now. Well, 310. What's Ace King? I presume he's going to move. Oh, very crafty. He's played it slow. I don't like this, to be honest, not when the blinds are this high.
And have a look at this. I catch the 3, but I'm worried he might be trapping. So I check it.
Yeah, he's quite a trappy type of player, isn't he? And Nafans is probably worried that you're trapping.
Well...
Do you put a little feeler bet here?
I do, yeah.
He's called you as well. You got him to call you. Gosh, with just overcards.
And I've lost interest at that point, but I'm slightly surprised to win it, actually.
Yeah, I bet you are.
By me.
Well, I think that was a mistake there by Nafans, not just pushing in. I think he tried to play it how I'd like to play it, but when the blinds are this high, you've got to take that 640. That 640 and 320, you've just got to add that to your stack.
And I push it. It's marginal. It's highly marginal with the Queen 7, but there's a chance he'll fold, a very small chance he'll fold, and I've probably got live cards if he calls, which is the way it works. But I've doubled him up here, and I'm back where I started.
Yeah, I think he got away with that Ace King thing there, in as much that he should have really won that. I think he played it. I think he played it wrong. It's nice to actually play it that way when in the early rounds, but at this stage you've got to take. There's 1,000 chips in the pot. You've got to take that. It's a very important part of your stack. It's a third of your stack.
So things are going seriously awry now. I'm not picking up the hands. I've run out of ace queens to play, as you can see. And there's still 1,000 in the middle. I'm now down to 26. I'm running out of options. And I'm going to have to make one move very quickly. And he cuts the wind from my sails there.
Yeah.
I can't come over the top because I've got no fold equity.
He won't fold
anyway.
Yeah.
So I must fold. Oh, no, I take it back. I call. I remember my logic there now. Yeah, I just call, thinking if I catch a 5, an 8, or a draw, I'll push.
Well, you've got to draw a bad one, though.
Yeah, not that draw.
And he's got a pair of 4s, which I presume he'll probably come out betting with, thinking that if you had an ace, you'd pushed in. So he's only got to be worrying about a better 4 or a better 7. Or a 7, obviously. So he's pretty confident that he hasn't got... well, he just checks it. Surprising. Does he let you in with a 6? I wonder. Or do you try and push him off it? Nope. Well, you've just taken a lead. And that's, once again, he's played a couple of hands very strangely. He thinks about it logically. It's very simple. He's more than likely he would have bet out with an ace. So he's only got to worry about you having a 7. So he's got to perhaps take a chance that you haven't got that 7. And
look at that.
He's bet you out of it anyway.
Pushed me off it. Well done. Yeah, and there is the danger. There is the danger. So now I'm in terrible trouble.
Yeah, you've got to move here, haven't you, I think.
And I'm surprised he's got Jack 6. I think he would have called this. I thought he had a worse hand.
You would have called? I don't see how you can call this.
Oh, he's getting quite nice odds there.
Yeah, no, I don't call that. Jack 6. I'll throw that away. King something I might call, but... Well, I'll probably try and put you all in here, do I? King 2, yeah. I'll probably do the same.
Not a difficult decision for me with an ace. I'm getting about 3 to 1. So in it goes, and no
back
horror
into the lead.
stories.
Well, it's a topsy-turvy one, that's for sure. Well, pair of 2s, no-brainer. I presume you're going to stick it in, yeah. And he's probably going to call with his King-Jack. Well, we've got a 10 to hit as well. Or a queen now. Or a 3. He's got a lot of outs, gosh. And
even though I knew what happened, you were making me nervous listing all those outs.
Yeah, and well, we have our winner, another Poker Night Live win.
Cracking stuff.
Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. That was looking pretty ominous there with that those overcards coming.
Oh, look, it's a chip movement graph. And Clarkson yellows. Look at the oscillations there of the yellows and the lilacs. Is that lilac?
Yeah, he waited quite near to the end, and then and that's where he started taking off, which is how I like to play. I just never got that opportunity. Never mind.
Oh well. Thanks, folks. That was a very enjoyable game, and hope to play against you soon.
Yeah, good.
Let's have a look at a few emails then. We've got one here from Panoman Creel. Hi Tom and Mark, how's it going? Cards been good to you lately? Certainly looking forward for the good doctor tonight. Thank you. Just a few questions. I'm just a Hold'em player just now, but I'm thinking of trying my hand at some Omaha or stud. Do any of you play these, and if so, what are the main differences to note? Strategy when starting out at these. Any chance of showing some on Poker Night Live in the future? Also, what's your opinion on bots, as I've seen software for sale online for these and I'm not sure if they're for real, and if so, what's being done, if anything, to deal with this? Any way to detect them? Finally, if you were to put a figure on what percentage luck versus skill was, how much would it be on playing poker on average? Cheers and keep up the good work. Well, 3 questions there. Which
Lots of questions. To start with, I might as well do them in order, I think.
Go on then.
First one, okay. Omaha, stud. I've played a little bit of stud, and I've played Omaha recently, a reasonable amount of Omaha I've played. Certainly stud is not a game I'll get into, one that you'd have to play it a lot to get to know how to, and you've also got to have a pretty good memory with stud as well, so it's quite a hard one to learn coming from Hold'em. I would say Omaha is a lot easier to learn coming from Hold'em, as long as you don't treat it like a Hold'em game. You've got to play it as a very different game. You've got to remember that you're playing 6 hands, not 4 cards, and that's the thing. 6 hands you're playing because there are 6 possible combinations of hands that you could have. So that's the thing to remember about Omaha. There are differences. It's more of a drawing game. The thing I'll say about Omaha is a much more volatile game. So if you think Hold'em's volatile, wait till you see Omaha. That is really volatile. So you'll find that there are much bigger swings in your bankroll to take place. So watch out for that. And it is different technique into playing. So read a book on it first and then try and play it according to what the book tells you. But it's much more of a drawing game, very, very different type of game to Hold'em. Not really the same, even though it looks similar. You played any of those, Tom?
Omaha, I play Omaha, yeah, great game, great fun. Stud, I'm not a player and I've never kind of got around to learning the game properly. Omaha is a stone's throw away from Hold'em, whereas stud is a completely different discipline and it just requires an investment of time that I've never got round to, unfortunately. Yeah.
There was a couple of other questions there as well, wasn't there? One was poker bots. Yeah. Poker bots, I think, is not much good for no limit, as far as I know. I mean, as my logic tells me, I don't think it's much good for no limit. I think it has benefits for limit play, whereas it's a lot more of a technical game, so there's a lot more odds calculations and that sort of thing. And there's little for the bot to do apart from bet or call or fold, and it's only one bet he's talking about as opposed to certain amounts of bets. How to capture them online, I think the software should do that automatically. They're always looking out for bots on there, as they're illegal to use on most poker sites. And as far as I know, they never talk. So if you start talking to them and never answer, get suspicious.
Thanks for that, Mark. Right, before we go back to some of the other points on that email, we are going to look at tonight's What's in the Hole. Yes, the new What's in the Hole has come around, the one you've been waiting for. What is in the hole, Mark?
I don't know.
I don't know either. It's NGS who's got it in the small blind. We like a good small blind What's in the Hole. And it's a Molly Table tourney.
It's been raised by Aussie Ace. And he's re-raised. And El Coolio, who we watched earlier, decided to fold. What's he going to do? He's got position, and he's caught his ace.
I think it's ace king or ace 7.
Would he re-raise with that? Wow.
Well, I don't think so, but I just got a feeling about it. I've just got a feeling that's what the producer likes. Full houses. Yeah. Text hole to 62211, 62211. Text hole and your answer. What did NGS, whatever his name was, make? And possibly be the whole What's in the Hole leaderboard winner at the end of this month. Who knows?
Yeah. So you had a good game.
Had a good game. A real pleasure. Just a quick reminder, folks, of how to get in touch with us. 62211 to text the studio with your poker questions, or email us at poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. We've got more emails coming. We've got to finish off that last email from our bot questioner. But we hope you won't go away, because we've got one more hour of Poker Night Live coming to you after this short interlude. Hi Nick, can you hear us?
Yep, yeah, I can.
It's amazing. We've got it right every time. It's unbelievable. Yeah. This is the most efficient phone-in I've ever seen.
It is pretty efficient, isn't it?
Rick, I was going to ask, what do you think is the future of poker publishing? I mean, is this a boom that's going to, I don't know what an equivalent would be. I mean, what's a phase or craze that's run out very quickly and left lots of publishers high and dry?
Well, if they think it's going to be a quick one, they probably get the money quickly and then run. But I think we're fairly sort of confident that there's a bit of legs in this market because our publishers do Maxim and Viz and a couple of other big sort of monsters like that. So they're putting a fair bit of money into it, and I mean we're like issue 8, so 8 months in, and it's going really well, and probably even better than we thought it was going to be. A lot more readers, a lot more subscribers, and been surprised by like the sort of like strength of community. I mean, you go to a poker club and everyone gets on well on the whole, and it's fairly social. But in terms of the magazine, like I've worked on other mags, and you get a few letters a month. In this, we're getting sort of like 20, 30 emails every day,
Wow.
and with that kind of loyalty already, I can't see it sort of dropping off anytime soon. And it's just going to grow because there's the poker market's growing and growing. The only thing which will change it is if there's some sudden change in a legal standpoint of whether people can play online.
I can't see that coming in Britain, certainly, but I don't think there's any sort of undercurrents there that means that's going to happen.
No, I don't think so. What kind of readership do you have?
Now that's a good question. I just write it so I forget about all the marketing side. I think it's somewhere in excess of sort of 20,000 a month. I'm pretty sure of that.
Around 20,000?
In excess of 20,000. I think sort of like 23. So I'm just taking a number there, but I know it's sort of like very healthy for what is effectively a specialist magazine. Like yourself, you wouldn't expect to get the same channel ratings as the BBC. We wouldn't expect to get the same as Maxim or FHM or anything like that.
I think you're on a par with Horse and Hound there with 20,000. Probably a different demographic though. Sorry?
I was going to say, and that and the lady. And there's some other very sort of like dodgy specialist ones that we're probably outselling. So.
Could be. I wouldn't know.
What do you anticipate? Do you know what the you don't suppose, not being a marketing man, you don't suppose you know what the potential is, do you?
Well, I look at it in terms of sort of like if I'll have a job next year. No, but
No,
I mean, even if I look at it at that sort of like base level, I'm just very confident. I mean, it's growing, like, and on the money side, I'm sure it's doing well because it's selling. And it's a market that's attractive to advertisers. And we're selling more each month. And people seem to be enjoying it. I mean, the magazine gives a lot of free things away. So it costs like £1.50, and with that alone you get, I think last month you got entry into a free roll for sort of like a $10,000 cruise, $2,000 free roll, this and that, and lots of different things. So if you're interested in poker, it seems a bit silly not to get it for what's effectively less than a pint.
Yeah, I was amazed to just be going past Smith's the other day in a train station, seeing not your magazine, I'm afraid, but another one there,
That's all right.
standing high and proud, above all the others. And obviously, it's the sort of thing that people just walking by pick up and buy. It's not necessarily people subscribing to it.
I mean, you've got to do that with your first issue. You've got to have a big launch. I mean, we did a similar thing back in September when we kicked off. Big sort of like cover mount with Devilfish. Because I mean, Dave Elliott is the probably closest to a household name in poker terms that you're going to get in the UK at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, that might start to change as more and more people get involved. But certainly for the moment, Dave's pretty much the only sort of like first issue cover man you can have with him. I don't know if you'd agree with that or not. But.
No, I think Dave Elliott's the one you want, really, if you're going to get someone on the front of your mag. Rick, we've run out of time here. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Absolutely.
And best of luck with the new edition.
Thank you very much. Take care.
And don't let Nick Wealthall take the... Bye.
Bye.
Welcome back to Poker Night Live. Thanks for sticking around. We've got the thrilling finish to that qualifying competition for the Reno World Poker Tour So we're going to see that in all its glory very soon. But before we go down there, we're going to have a look at that email we didn't quite have time to finish, Mark.
Oh, okay.
From
it was the last question, wasn't it?
That's right. He was saying, what percentage do you think is skill and luck in poker? It's a funny one, isn't it? Because it depends who you're playing against. If you're playing against people equally good as yourself, then necessarily it must be luck, because you're of equal skill. That follows naturally. So it depends on the game you're in. At the end of your life, you could, in principle, tot up what it turned out to be, but you don't know how difficult the game is going to be that you're sitting in tomorrow. So I can't answer that question.
Well, I think it's an easy one to answer, Tom.
Oh, okay, go on then.
In as much that, well, I can ask you, what is your what do you think your edge is in the game?
That's true, yeah, you can do it retrospectively by your edge. So if it's, say, 10% edge, then there it is, there you have it.
There's your skill, 10%.
God, it's so easy with Mark Banin here, isn't it? Of course, it may change, don't forget that, especially if you're moving up the levels, or you've just been lucky for a bit.
Yeah, although I will say that, having said that, that does increase, the luck factor does increase in tournaments a little. So you won't have a 10% edge, generally speaking.
Let's have a look at an email from Smoking Piper, who says, this is AKA is Andy. Great performance in the World Poker Tour qualifier last week, Tom. Congratulations on qualifying. Thank you. My name is Smoking Piper, and I made it also in the last tourney. In that tourney, great. So I'll see you in Reno. I'd like to make a few points that I've learned about multi-table tourneys and would like to hear your views. I don't know if it's to do with tonight's show, as I've just got in from frying some fish at a pub in my local town. Ho, ho, ho. Anyway, my points are, never give up in a tourney, and it's not always about winning the big hands, but getting away from big pairs and staying alive when the temptation is very hard to call. An example is, I'm a small blind and I have queen-queen. Mid-position raises all in. I think, and I fold, even though because of the blind structure I have committed half my stack. Wow, he shows king-king, and I'm glad I folded. I bet you are. I'm down to about 2 to 3 big blinds now, and am foremost of the tourney. Managed to steal a few blinds to stay alive and get down to 2 tables of 10 and 12 positions to qualify. Well, yeah, there it is. If you're going for one of those seats in a super satellite, then you don't need all the chips. You just need to be there when you get awarded the prize money. The power of aggression, he says, against some players around the bubble can be used against people you think are weak because of their fear of going out so close to whatever prizes are. Even if they don't have a decent hand, their fear can be your weapon. I hope this makes sense to you guys, and once again, well done, Tom. That was a difficult tourney, and my opinion, a bit of a lottery because of the blind structure. Not a lot of room to play. Yeah, you're quite right. Anyway, great show again from what I've seen tonight, guys. Regards, Andy Smoking Piper. Thanks. Well, there you go. Strangely, I met the guy, Andy, who got bubbled, Punk Floyd, a few days later. He didn't punch me.
You didn't bubble him, did you?
I didn't bubble him, no, but I did kind of do the dirty on him with a pair of aces. He called me, but you know, what can you do? Finally, Trev. Trev has emailed us. Hi, Mark and Tom. No comments on any of the hands I played. I refer my answers to my mate Jack Daniels. Thank you. I can't take the stick from the 7-8 guru, and I'm booking into therapy tomorrow morning. I hope I showed a complete mix of playing styles, from fish right the way through to passive. Needless to say, I'm happy with my play, and thanks for all your advice in the past year. Without you guys, I will not be the player I am today. Thank you very much, Trev. Regards, wish me luck at Crufts on Thursday. Obedience champion, here we go. Fantastic. You know, you can only enter dogs into that competition, Trev, but best of luck, and let us know how you got on.
Yeah, I wonder who's contributed to his singing as well. I mean, was it Poker Night Live as well?
No, Trev runs a karaoke outfit, so he's got it all fixed up in his garage.
He runs a karaoke outfit?
He does. He's got his finger in many pies.
Really?
But he does do a bit of karaoke.
He obviously doesn't use it very often.
I don't know. I'm on your side, Trev. I haven't heard it though. I haven't heard your singing effort. So what can I say? Quick reminder now of how to get in touch with me and Mark in the studio tonight. 62211 62211 to text your questions to us in this last hour, or you can email us at poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. There it is. Have we done What's in the Hole recently? Well, before we get onto that, here's the phone number 0906 200 70 80 to phone in and ask your questions live, as it were.
Yeah. Okay, just before we go to that What's in the Hole, just got a quick email here from Dave. I won't go through all the details there, Tom, but basically he's asking, how often do you go through really bad days and what do you do about it? What's the answer to that?
How often do you go through really in poker?
Yeah, where you
generally?
generally get sort of lots of bad beats, you know, one after the other, sort of 4 or 5 bad beats in a row, and when you're miles ahead, and you know they always seem to catch these miracle cards.
Once every 3 sessions, I'd say. It's when you get 7 days like that in a row that you start to get really down.
Yeah.
Depends how long you play.
Yeah, it does happen, Dave, and all you have to do is just ride through it. As long as you don't go on tilt, that's the main thing. That's the key, I think, isn't it? Those situations, avoiding the tilt factor.
That is it. As a famous poker player once said, whose name I've forgotten, is it's not how you play the hand where you took the bad beat, it's how you play the next one.
Yeah.
Take that to heart.
Okay.
Have we got time for what's in the hole then?
I think we have.
Let's have a look. What's in the hole, Mark?
Well, I think you've hit. I think Ace King is probably.
I think it's Ace-7. It's Ace King or Ace-7.
Well, I don't think you can re-raise with Ace-7. I'd be surprised.
That's right. Unless it's a pair of 7s.
Yeah. Anyway, it's for our viewers to guess what one it is.
Well,
we might be leading them down the wrong path.
It could be anything. Text hole. Oh, hang on, let's see it through to its conclusion. Maybe it's Deuce-7. Text hole, yes, text hole and your answer. What does our man there have? And text it to 62211. Well, now it is the final table of the multi-table tourney.
Wow.
He's coming out to Reno to tussle with Dr. Tom and a few other players. Let's go and have a look.
Yeah, should be a big field there in Reno. I think it was. I'm trying to think how many were there last when I went. It was about. I think it was over 400.
And it was a WPT event you played?
Yeah, exactly the same, identical.
Oh, right. How'd you get on?
No good. I didn't play that. I didn't play that well. I had Negrano on my table actually.
What, that old fish?
Yeah. I played a hand particularly well. I thought quite well, but he caught one of his little. He was playing 6-7, and I re-raised him with 6-7 pre-flop. He called a raise, and I re-raised the original raiser with King Queen out of the big blind, I think, and he called, and the flop gave him a flush draw, and I bet with my Queen high, which came. My Queen hit the flop, and I bet a decent sized bet, and he called, and he hit his flush, and he got a little bit of a payoff from me as well. So that put me down to about 7,000 in chips, sort of quite early on, and I never really recovered after that. So, but I didn't feel I played particularly well that day anyway. Just unfortunate, really. There you are. Well, is this the final, Tom?
Well, it looks like it might be. Got 5 players. So getting pretty exciting now. And in theory, this should go faster than the average final table because there's no point hanging around to move up the prize ladder. So people should be that little bit more aggressive and that little bit looser.
Yeah, a little over 250,000 chips in play. So we can see most of them taken out by our 3 people on the left here. But that's not to say that Funky Fran or B Digital can't make a recovery. A couple of double ups will put them in good position. So it'll be interesting to see. Well, blinds are 600, 1,200. So still quite a lot of play for the guys on our left. Not so much play for the guys on the right, but they're not in desperate situation, really, are they, Tom?
Nope.
I mean, it's not ideal to be in that, you know, with 13,000 when the blinds are 1,200, but it's you're not desperate. That's the thing. You still can wait a few hands.
A couple of rounds of the button at most now for Funky Fran, though, because that will demolish about a third of his stack, a bit more, and that's all he's going to be prepared to lose. Yeah,
and of course we don't know when the blinds are going up at this point, but probably won't be that long. Well, Blommer takes his ace-king, and wields it to victory. Well, King 7. And is that a limp with the 5-3? It is. 11 CS67 has limped with 5-3 suited. Interesting. Well, he's by fortune rather, he's actually got position. So he could make a play here. No, he doesn't. He doesn't want to make a play there. I wonder why he didn't do that. Especially as he's got a draw as well. Not a good draw, but you want to bet those kind of draws, don't you, Tom, when it's been checked to you, I think.
Maybe he's waiting to get some information. He's in a position to show the most strength overall. So if there'd been a check there, he could have bet, and maybe his opponent thinks, well, he's only got an ace, but I'll have to fold. But it hasn't worked out like that. He's played it rather strangely.
Yeah, well, hopefully he's just looking to take it down on the... Now he knows that he doesn't put a bet out here. He's lost, unless the guy's got 4 high, got 4-3 or something. And he knows this is the only way he can win.
Nice bet.
Yeah,
work,
Telly might believe that he's winning. But I think he figured that that 11 CS7 must have had a 6 or a 2 in his hand, probably a 2, and I didn't think that he could get him off it. So he decided he wouldn't bet. But having said that, would he have a 2 in his hand in that situation? Probably not.
I think that Telep has, I think maybe 11 played it great, and Telep has decided, well, he just can't call without a big hand on the turn, because there's no draw there.
Yeah.
So he must be slow playing something, and 11C knew that that's what it looked like, so he had room to, if he got information on the river to say that Telep didn't have much, he could run a successful bluff. So maybe he played it well, I'm not sure from that.
Yeah. Yeah, there wasn't really... The problem was, as far as I can see, there really is no story there, is there? The story sort of... It doesn't exist.
Well, if he's caught a jack.
Yeah, but will he slow play a jack with jack high flop? And there was only one jack on there at the time. That's the thing, isn't it? He's got jack 10. Is he likely to slow play something like that? King jack, ace jack. Ace jack he might, I suppose, but anyway, we shall never know what the thinking was there, but it worked out for him. Well, one of these lucky guys is going to win a trip to Reno at the end of this month. Big prize money on offer at the Reno.
Time for Funky Fran to play. I think he's going to find himself all in here. If he is raised, he's going to come over the top with 10s. I don't really think here he can afford to put those down against someone who might well be stealing. That's a slightly more strange situation. It's 2,400 in the pot, and now he's got a lot of chips to risk. He decides to keep it simple and stick them all in, but it was a less easy decision there. He could have played it differently. Someone had put in a sort of 3 times a big blind raise. I think he would have had only one option, which was to come over the top.
Give you an idea, Tom. Last year there was 361 entrants, so you're probably looking at over 400, I'd guess, this year. Maybe 420, something like that. I don't think it'll be a huge increase. Phil Ivey came 3rd in that one. And first prize was a cool 663,000.
Very nice.
So very nice for someone. And this is potentially what these guys are fighting out for. Lots of big names were there last year. Obviously Blair Rodman, Phil Ivey, Barry Greenstein appeared there, Miami John. So Hung La, who's made a final table, Andy Block. So Dan Harrington got into the money, came 22nd. So some big names playing there, and it's a nice size buy-in. So you're going to get quite a few, probably quite a few Scandies over there as well. $5,000 being one of the more manageable WPT events. Of course, normally they're $10,000 with sit and goes and various other things to help you get to that figure. Makes it a little bit easier. So not much movement here, Tom, so far on this table. They're all sort of finding their feet. They don't want to go out on a mistake, do they, here?
No. B. Didge making a play. And in fact, he's dominating Telep all over the place, but probably would be split if they took it to a showdown, which is highly unlikely, I think. Oh, hello. Well, it's a big call from Telep.
It'd be interesting if a 10 appeared, wouldn't it? I think we're likely to see war if a 10 appeared. Especially, well, in fact, I was going to say a 10 of diamonds, but it wouldn't make much difference.
I think he might feel he's got to bet. Having called with such a marginal hand, he's calling only with position effectively, and so he's got to really try and use it here, and that's what he does do, and it's going to work.
Well, Telep takes one by virtue of position there. And we could see the chips go in here. No, 3-6. Still feels he's got play. And 11 CS67 doesn't want to play with his hand, even though he did call with 5-2 or something earlier. 5-2, 5-3. I'm not sure. Can't remember what it was. Well, here we are. Got another 5-2. Maybe he likes these tiny little cards. We shall see if he makes up the small blind or not. Or is he going to do something more interesting with it? No. If he's going to play 5-3, wants to play the suited variety, wants to play with only a one gapper. So tell it with the ace-3. Or doesn't want to get involved. Interesting. The cut-off. Thinks he'll just leave it to these guys to try and knock each other out. So no one really taking control of this table. We have, no one has come forward and put themselves down as a table captain.
No, this way we're going to have difficulty catching the end of this, but of course it can go very quickly. And once you're down to 2 players, it goes generally very quickly.
Yeah, the blinds are fairly low now, aren't they? That's the thing. And I'm not sure what they're going to increase to, actually. Do they increase to 816 or do they double or something?
Well, I should have thought they'd go to 816.
Might be 1-2. Might go straight to 1-2. So it's either 816 or 1-2. We'll soon see. This has been a nice tournament to play, and it's different to our normal multi-table tournament. Normally, the normal multi-table tournament, they have 1,000 chips to start. So, but this one they actually starts off with 2,500 chips each. So there's a lot more money in the pot and a lot bigger stacks in relation to the blinds, which means there's a lot of play. We can see, I don't know, let's take one of the sort of let's take Blommer's stack, for example. He's sitting on, well, 60,000, let's say. And that gives him 50 times the big blind. So that's pretty healthy at this stage. That 50 times the big blind means that one mistake and you're not necessarily out, whereas in a lot of cases when you're in this sort of situation, one mistake and you're out, aren't you? So these guys can still make mistakes and lick their wounds and carry on. A lot of these tournaments are very hard to do that. So it's a great tournament being put on there by those sponsors, and a great prize with lots of value. Only 100 players play this, and they only paid $10 to win what could be, well, which is a $7,600 package, but which could end up somewhere in a region of a $2 million prize pool.
And there's still skiing out at Reno at the moment.
Is there? Ah. Are you a skier, Tom?
Well, after a fashion, Mark, in my inimitable way.
I think that would be interesting, Tom, seeing you skiing down some slopes. Just can't imagine you doing that.
No?
No.
Well, it's because you only ever see me in the poker context, Mark.
Yeah, probably. I can see you wearing one of those funny outfits, though, with the ski glasses. Well, nothing's changed really, isn't it, since we've actually joined it. Everyone's more or less where they initially started, and it's going to take a couple of big hands to come up against each other, and well, Blommer's getting a little bit bored. He decides to come in with a king-9 offsuit, and Funky Fran is not screwing around. He thinks if you can beat this, then good luck to you. If you've got better than 10s, then so be it. I need some chips. If you've got ace king, ace queen, I don't really want you to call, but if, so be it. I'm still in the lead. Well, he accumulated a few chips there with minimal risk, I suppose. He felt that if Blommer had a hand, he probably wouldn't flat call.
However, Blommer now might well think about flat calling with the big hands, having seen Funky Fran do that.
Yeah. Not sure I would be keen on doing that, because he's only done it once, hasn't he? It's not as if he's repeatedly doing it. So there's no pattern that he's picked up. Well, this is a nice hand for Telep. He's picked up bottom set. Now, is he going to get full value out of it? That's the thing. Or is he worried that someone could outdraw him? Of course, to outdraw him, they'd need diamonds or something like 10 jack or something. But I guess anyone that's got 10 jack will probably be betting. And he feels that if Blommer's got it, then I'm going to put him out. Well, he doesn't believe him. And I think we're going to see Telep put his chips in here. Because he's probably worried that Blommer might be on that 10 jack. Well, he's made it only 15,000, is it?
Yep.
Which is a fairly small bet. It's only half the pot. Just over, in fact, just over half.
Does the job big enough to push off a draw, provided that the drawer has no implied odds. But yeah, a bit marginal.
Yeah, I think I would have liked to have made it a bit bigger, especially as he called my re-raise. That's almost smelling, I mean, we could see it wasn't smelling of 10 jack, but it certainly started to smell like that. And as this is a knockout tournament, not a cash game, I don't want to get value out of my twos any longer. I'm quite happy to take that pot there and then. But he didn't need to fret. He was well in the lead. Well, 9 high versus queen high. Queen high takes it. Sure, we're going to see a bet here, probably around the 36, 4800 mark. No, he only doubles it. I wonder if that was just laziness or he actually wants him to bet. I mean, if you can see his hand, that's probably the bet he would make. But that's the kind of bet you want, isn't it, when you've got a dominated hand? Get a bit more into the pot and hope the queen appears.
Funky Fran, fortunate not to catch any part of that, or the queen at least, rather.
Yep.
Hello, now he's got himself an up and downer. 7,800 in the pot, and he's getting the odds. Certainly getting the odds there, even with the 2 diamonds being a bit problematic. 2 diamonds at either end of his straight draw, that is.
Yeah, he's missed it. Does he feel that he's going to get 11 CS off this? And he's not trying to go for it. He doesn't want to risk 4,000 or 5,000 of his chips to try and win that pot. And 11 CS just increases his stack a little. Well, blinds have just gone up. It's now 800, 1,600. And big bet there from Telep. That's interesting. He didn't make that big bet with the ace queen a moment ago, but he's made it with an ace jack. He feels that that's more vulnerable, I suppose. Not a lot of difference really between ace jack and ace queen. They're both similar type of hands. Quite a lot of difference though from ace king. Well, queen 9 doesn't want to get involved. Jack 5 doesn't want to get involved, and he's probably quite happy with that. Taking down with a pair of 9s with no risk.
So Telep definitely creeping upwards.
Yeah, he's starting to creep up bit by bit, isn't he? Not enough to for anyone really to get worried at this stage. 11 CS still has a pretty firm hold on that second place, and Blommer's still in fairly comfortable situation. 30 times the big blind, more or less. Well, he did have 30 times the big blind until this hand appeared. Not a bad flop for a strong ace. And he feels that he's probably in the lead. Doesn't want him to take a chance on catching any cards, and that's a good fold by Blommer. He might have thought that his ace deuce was in the lead there, but didn't want to call with that hand, and I don't blame him.
There's a move, and he can get away from it if he's raised, but I don't think he will be. And he's picked up some useful chips there. 10% of his stack.
24,000. Sorry, 2,400 rather. So it's a nice contribution, and Funky is wondering when his hand's going to come, and he's just hit it.
Oh dear.
Now, unfortunately, Blommer's hit a much better hand. And Digital's fortunate that he's going to get away from this, but he's going to get raised, re-raised, I dare say, and Digital now will comfortably throw it away, thinking I can't take that heat.
And look, one of Funky's queens is dead. Isn't that cheerful for him?
Oh dear, and it's all over. Well, it hits 2 pair as well, but it's rather unfortunate, Tom, isn't it? You wait for your hand, you're just patient, and that's what happens, isn't it?
Yep.
Came so close yet so far. So we have our 5th place finisher. Nothing for 5th, nothing 4th, nothing for 3rd, nothing for 2nd. There's only one prize here, and it's a good one. A buy-in to WPT event in Reno at the end of this month. Package worth $7,600. Prize pool in Reno will be in excess, probably, of around $2 million. So first prize is probably going to be over 700,000. So it's a nice prize to have. And you'll be mixing with celebs such as Dr. Tom.
He'll be mixing with celebs, as will Dr. Tom. So B Digital inherits the mantle of short stack. Not that it's quite so relevant in a winner takes all as this one is. However, some of these players may really fancy their heads-up game and be interested in avoiding confrontations at this problematic size table. But we'll see. It's been a relatively cautious game. Tel AP keeping the pressure on there.
Yeah, and he's probably glad just to get that one without a call. Last thing he wants to see is a call with a pair of 6s, and odds on no 6 appears, but there are 2, probably 3 overcards appearing. Well, Ace Queen against Queen 10. Oh, he's very crafty, this 11CS. He's played a sneaky type of game so far. We've seen him call, oh, this could be curtains, Tom. Could be where he doubles through.
Yep.
Now, the only saviour for Telep is if a spade appears. That could be the saviour.
Well, I think Telep's 11's got enough chips here for Telep just about to get away from this. If he puts in some sort of raise and 11 goes all in, Telep might well get away from it. Ah, no, not that. No, now he's committed. And 11 CS is thinking, oh no, he's got Queen Jack, but I think he's going to call, isn't he? Yeah.
Well, that's improved, and that's looking pretty good now for 11 CS. He's got less to worry about now because of the Jack. Probably feels that if there's 2 Jacks out there, there's less likely you've got one of them.
And now the spade draw if he's got it wrong. So.
Well, if he's got it wrong on Queen Jack, it won't matter.
Oh, yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. But if it's just a lone Jack, yeah.
Yeah. But wow, that's a huge pot, and and this is what happened, Tom, when he slow played with Ace Queen. Had he have raised with it, he probably got no action. It just shows you, doesn't it? When you call, when you see flops with these hands, if the flop is kind to you and unkind to your opponent, you can build up a lot of chips, can't you?
Poor old Telep, he must be gutted. He's sensing that it's going to be Luton, not Reno, suddenly.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. He's getting all cocky now. He's calling with a Queen 6. And that was a bit of a big bet as well. He put out a 7,000 bet. And he's just got to move with this, hasn't he, Tom? He's got to move, and he's got a draw as well. He's got a 2 to hit. And he did the right thing. He didn't let that ace scare him. He thought, I've got to put a bet out, see if you've got an ace. I can represent the ace as well. Plus, I've got a draw if things go pear-shaped. Not particularly a good draw, but he was a good draw to a 2 or a 5. Well, he's breathing a little sigh of relief there. That he's, and now he's trying to recoup some of those losses he took. And he thinks the way he can do that is by stealing a few blinds. He was up to the dizzy heights of over 100,000 a moment ago, and he's really been taking a bit of a hit now. I'm sure he'll just fold this one, though.
Blommer takes a view. Now what?
Yeah, I don't like the call by Blommer. He's out of position, A7. He hasn't got the lead in the betting. Well, this is a brave bet. Oh, well, we're going to see it all in here, aren't we? And
chop, chop.
It's going to be a chop, chop, yeah. They'll probably, in a way, both be relieved that the other hasn't got a queen.
Yeah, they'll both be relieved, I think. And they've got to play this for all... Blommer's got to play this for all his chips, and I'm pretty certain he will. He's worried now, but there's 60,000 in the middle. And
can he get 11 CS to fold this? No.
But yeah, definitely a satisfactory outcome for both of them, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure they're both pleased that the other didn't have a queen. More especially so for Blommer, who would have been out, whereas CS would have just lost about a third of his stack. And Telep on the big blind here, and he's called again with this this marginal hand, and it's worked out for him. But he's put in this funny little bet, hasn't he? This funny little raise. And he's a sneaky customer, this 11 CS, isn't he? He likes calling with his ace queens and his other sort of mediocre hands. And now he's got 2 pair, and he believes it's good. And he's right, it is good. Only losing to a king. And he's trying to slow down the betting just in case. He's got a better 7 than him. Doesn't want to put in a big bet there. But he was only going to get called really by a better hand. So it might have been worth just check calling, but I suppose he didn't want to have to call a big bluff on the end if it was that. He'd rather have to deal with a re-raise situation than have to call a big bluff on the end with the king 7. Well, it's a free ride.
Digital was on about 40 not long ago, and now he's drifted down quite seriously.
Yeah, well, he gets a walk. And he's back up to, well, he's up to 25 now. This is winning those blinds helped him a little. And he's 11 CS is getting a bit bored, I feel, here. He's now limping in with king 7, which has very little prospects. And he's just been raised. He's out of position with king 7. I'm sure he'll give this up. Unless he's bored, of course, which in case he won't. But he does call, and he hits. Wow. How horrible is that? And I think there was a king thrown away as well, Tom. I'm not sure who had it, but I remember seeing, I could have sworn I did see a king in someone's hand.
And I think Blommer gets away from it, doesn't he? I don't see that 11 CS could be calling there with anything other than overcards to the 9s. I don't believe Blommer's going to... Oh, I'm a bit surprised by that. Maybe he's taken a view with 11 CS. Well, unless it works. I don't believe Blommer's bluffing there. I think he's trying to take the pot there and then. No, it doesn't work. I think he could possibly have got away from that, Blommer.
Yeah, and we have our 4th place finisher. Wow. And 11 CS is wiping them. And look at this position he's in, Tom.
He must be smelling the pieces of Reno by now.
He's got well over 100 times a big blind. I'm not sure what that would equate to. It was about 120 times a big blind. A little more, in fact, about 125 times a big blind. And he's in huge position. 125 times a big blind. The other guys are all waiting for each other to get knocked out. He can just bully them non-stop.
Oh, not me. I'm not. If it was a regular tourney, sure, but I need to take first place. So he can't bully me there. He can bully me if it's a multi-table tourney where there's a difference in prize structure, because I'll let someone else get knocked out. But I don't think he's got bullying rights here, because they each know that they've got to take his chips at some point.
Yeah, wouldn't they prefer to do that heads up though?
Not me. No, I'll take the value where I can get it.
Well, the ace queen has moved in, and we know from experience that 11 CS doesn't like to fold these, and he doesn't.
Well, it's looking like we will finish before the end of the show. Unless B Digital, who's an unlikely second place player, can pull off a remarkable coup.
Well, he's in good shape, isn't he? Look at that. He's got 150 times the big blind now. He's in an extremely strong position. This is what dreams are made of, isn't it? Being in this situation, he can just do this all day long now. He can take a shot at this guy. 1600 a shot.
Let's see if Digital can keep his head now.
Oh, it's all over. It's finished, isn't it?
Best
well,
he can hope for a chop, really. Oh, maybe a chop coming his way.
Could be. Could be. It needs a higher than a 9.
No, 5 is no good.
No, 3 pairs doesn't make any difference. Well, Kings and Queens with a 9 beats Kings and Queens with a 6. So we have our winner.
Hang on, he hasn't played it yet.
Hasn't he? Oh no, he hasn't. You're right. He's still got chips, but he's not throwing it away, is he? He's probably going to go all in. Yeah, he does.
Unfortunate. Well, 11 CS 67. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations indeed. What a lovely prize. And B Digital has got to feel gutted, although he was in such a weak position there. He's probably felt he felt happy that he came through into second place, because he was the weakest out of the 5, wasn't he? Weakest out of the 4, but in terms of chips, he didn't have a lot of chips, did he? So he done well to get into second, but too much there in that point.
Well done, 11CS, for making it onto the World Poker Tour. Now, a quick reminder of our What's in the Hole quiz tonight. Here it comes.
Don't forget to get Tom a drink in Reno.
Why?
Well, because you sort of gave him good karma.
Okay. Mine's a double. Now, what is in the hole? Well, we don't know.
Well, he's re-raised the razor from the small blind. And he's called with the ace-jack. So, interestingly enough, he comes out betting, only because the guy didn't have many chips left, I guess. So he could have done that with anything.
Text hole. Yes, text hole to 62211. And your answer, most importantly, what you think that our man there had. And maybe you'll be the What's in the Hole winner. Well, let's wind off the evening now with a bit of cash action. Here's the 50-cent $1 game. Voila.
Well, Snappet's been giving it a good old session, hasn't he? We was there earlier when we saw him, and he's still there. He's improved a little. He's moved himself up to $147.
Yep. Smooth Cut, who texted us earlier. Charwell, regular sit-and-go player. And Given, also regular player. Battle of the Jacks, but it's Ipswich who scored his 6, and he makes a rather large bet there. Takes it down. Let's have a look at a few stats then. Well, we've got stats. Oh no, it's a leaderboard. What a shame. Maybe stats later. No one's called anything apart from Smooth Cut with the ace. Bets it and takes it. Straightforward pot size bet, no nonsense sort of bet.
Do you like a call from that kind of position with ace-3 suited?
Yeah, might, if I've got a lot of chips, which I do, and I think someone might pay me. Yeah, I might give it a whirl. Yeah, there's lots of boards I can bluff at if it's checked to me.
You prefer to call or raise with it?
No, I don't mind. It depends on the behaviour of the blinds. If the blinds are likely to give it up, I'm more likely to raise it.
Yeah.
But if they're more likely to call, then I don't really mind a call. I might fold it. I could do any of the 3, really, Mark.
Yeah. Yeah, no, same here, pretty much. Well, that's a pretty good flop for a pair of kings. Nothing too scary there. Not so good for Gullo there, who's limped in with his 8-6 and hit top pair, the worst kind of scenario you could hope for.
What about getting bitten by a rabid dog and catching top pair?
Yeah, that would be pretty bad. Well, he needs a 5 or a 6 to get out of this. And it doesn't come. 6, 7, 8, 9, not quite enough. Problem when you're playing these little connectors, that's the thing you've got to watch out for. You have to remember why you're playing them. Like, you play them to hit your straights, to hit your flushes, if you're playing the suited variety. You're not playing to hit, you're playing it for top two pair, or two pair in fact. You're certainly not playing it for top pair on its own, because it's just too weak. So you have to, I'm not saying you should fold when everyone makes a raise, but certainly you should be tread very carefully. Well, this is interesting, isn't it, Tom? We keep seeing patterns here, and now we've got, at 9 o'clock, we've got Smooth Cut, who's now making plays with 6-4 suited.
Aye, aye.
Earlier we saw CS making the same play with 5-3 suited, and now we've got a Smooth Cut on the same seat making the same move. Earlier we saw Deaky Daddy, whatever his name was, being a cooling station in seat 3.
The Kiddie Kid.
The Kiddie Kid, that's it, yeah. And making being a cooling station in seat 3, and then we turned to a cash game, and the same guy was doing, a different guy was doing the same thing. So maybe it's something in the seat that turns the player into that kind of person.
It's difficult to imagine how. I mean, of all the conspiracy, poker is rigged theories I've heard, the idea that they can actually rig your play for you by entering your head, is the most outlandish.
Cyber hypnosis.
Internet poker is rigged. I keep playing badly.
Yeah. Could be cyber hypnosis. That's what it is. Well, what Kung Fu Dat is looking for a 7 to make it straight. Doesn't appear, and Queen High takes it. Well, we've got an interesting semblance of hands there. A couple of aces out there. Well, in fact, 3 of them: Ace 8, Ace 9, Ace 10, and 10 Jack just to boot. Well, what's going to happen between these? Throw a snap it, going to get involved? No. In fact, the Ace 8 and Ace 9 decide to throw. And it's just left up to Charwell, who's got 10 Jack suited. And that's not a good flop for him, is it, Tom? He's at top pair, but that's not what he wanted, was it? And he's going to call now. And he's got a draw. He needs a king or a jack. Oh, he's got it. He's hit it straight. Well, that was a bit fortunate there for Charwell. He needed 2 running cards to make his straight, and that was bad luck for Ipswich. And fortunate play there from Charwell, very fortunate. And now Ipswich has been decimated. He's picked up the queens, where he probably would have liked a double up on that hand. But the double up now is not worth very much. Having said that, he might not have got a call if he had still his bigger stack. Let's see what happens. I think minimum raise might be nice here, or maybe even 3 times to make it up to 6. He makes up to 5. Trying to induce, he gets in between the 2 proposals that I made.
Oh, hello, there's a raise.
And he's re-raised it. Well, that's looking pretty good. He can comfortably put his chips in and know that he's almost certainly going to get a call now. And he's part of that, isn't he? He's thinking, oh, not again. Needs a 2 or an ace or a 4, and none of them come. Those flushing cards come a bit late. So Ipswich 5 with the best hand wins. And probably Slevin wouldn't. Is it Slevin? Yeah, Slevin wouldn't have done that, I don't think, had Ipswich maintained his stack from the previous hand. The fact that he was short stacked, Slevin felt that he could bully him a little bit, but he didn't. He had the cards on which to hold up. Wasn't going to throw those queens away. Oh, Smooth Cut playing his 3s passively. And I never understand this bet pre-flop. Do you, Tom? Out of position with something like King 10. What was the purpose of that raise? To take the lead? I don't really understand.
Maybe
and yet he's checked it.
Maybe he thinks he can buy a free card on the flop by confusing them.
Well, yeah, perhaps, I suppose, but I don't see how that would work, really.
Well, let's see if it does.
Yeah, but he's going to...
No.
No. And that's quite a nice bet by there, by Smooth Cut. He's feel, well, if you can check that jack, then my 3s, there's a good chance of my 3s being alive. So if you can check that jack, the only thing he's got to really worry about is that 9, because it's unlikely anyone would have checked a jack high flop. So they're thinking, well, you've either got a draw of something like Queen 10 or probably some kind of 9. Unlikely anyone would call there with a 2. And it's unlikely they would have made that play with a Queen 10. They probably would have bet out with a Queen 10, I think. So it's more than likely a 9. And that's just a horrible card there. This now means possible 1 card straight. And he'll probably just check this if it comes to him. I think Smoothcut's done with the betting. I think, well, yeah, he does. And that's probably the right move, I think. He tried, had a go at it, didn't work. Had another go, didn't work. So Queen 7 for Ipswich. What's he going to do? Certainly not a calling hand. It's either a raise or fold. You could mix it up, I suppose, if you wanted to call and then try and take it on the flop. Every now and again, that's a move I don't mind, but as long as it's not the predominant move. Well, he's trying to... I think it's a weak bet, isn't it? And
that's a cheap bluff.
Yeah, it's a cheap bluff, and it works well. Works well.
Lovely. Let's have a look at an email here. We've got one here from 24 Ginger, who was playing the sit and go earlier. Hi, Mark and Tom. He says, well done on your win, Tom, but I cannot believe you can't remember where I usually play. No, not the cash tables, but the $2 sit and go table. Hence why you don't see me anymore. Mark was wondering why I folded to Nicky Zell 11 when I had ace queen versus 8-8. Remember that one, Mark?
I do indeed, yeah.
Remember, the board showed 7 of hearts, ace of spades, 5 of hearts, 3 of diamonds. Well, first of all, it was the first hand that Nicky Zell played. He had position and he had raised pre-flop. He called my raise on the flop and he went all in on the turn. So I was wondering why. Number 1, did he have ace king or ace ace? Number 2, did he have a pocket pair? Number 3, did the pocket pair hit? Did he have nothing? Or 5, and was it worth all my chips to find out? I now know it was. 6, do I fold, having 440 chips left, remember it's still level 1, and make a move once I have the hand to do so? I decided on the conservative route of option 6, which was to fold. In the end, I doubled up back to 880 chips a few hands later, a playable stack at that stage, well more than Tom had then, and was back in it. Ending up 4th wasn't bad, except it was Tom who knocked me out and I got no money. Loving the show as always, although I no longer badger you to keep putting on the $2 sit and go anymore. Thanks, 24 Ginger. Yes, you're absolutely right. I do now remember the happy days of the $2 sit and go. And that guy this guy always used to sit in seat 1. What was his name?
Seat 1?
Yeah, he was there every time.
I don't remember seeing the $2 sit and goes very often.
Oh, it's had a Viking sort of name. Anyway, I can't remember, but I remember them fondly. We should show one of those again. Well, maybe I'll sit down in a $2 game when I'm playing with my own money, and we'll do it that way, 24 Ginger. Thanks a lot for your email.
Yeah, thanks, 24 Ginger. That was the only thing I was saying is mainly because you had so many chips connected in, left in that pot, and I think there was around, I think the pot was around 1,600, something like that, maybe 2,000. And for you to throw away for 400 chips left, 5 to 1 your money, there's a good percentage chance that he's bluffing. I don't know. I don't think I could have folded. By the same token, I probably would have gone out against a hand with Tragic Trev, where Tom didn't. He threw away his ace-6. So there you are, horses for courses.
Thanks for that, Mark. Well, we've come to the end of another Poker Night Live. We hope you'll be tuning in later tonight for more of the same. But until then, best of luck with your poker endeavours. We'll see you soon.